you, John and Tom. Andy Van Hellemond has a great deal of weight on his shoulders and responsibility in calling this one now. Wayne Bonney and Bob Hodges will be the linesmen. During the anthems, the American anthem booed, and the Canadian loudly cheered as you see Ron Hextall.
We did not see Hextall on the ice for the pregame brawl, nor did we see Brian Hayward at the other end. So both goalies will most likely have most of their concentration intact. There's Hayward at the other end. Now, most goalies take their pads off when they go into the locker room after a warm-up in between periods to stay cool and to relax a little bit, let their legs breathe. I suspect that's one of the reasons Hextall wasn't out there. You know he would have wanted to be out there.
Green and Chelios, Gainey, Corson, and Momesso for Montreal. Howe and McCrimmon, Smith, Zezel, and Tocchet for Philadelphia. Well, we'll see what the first crunch of bodies might bring. Hextall flips it along. It kicks to Derek Smith. Ooh, and a high hit by Momesso. On now with it comes Zezel. Zezel stepping in. Puck knocked loose. Back to Howe. Wrist shot. Save on the play. Hayward rebound wide. Zezel tries to center but can't. Picked off by Chelios. Chelios advances to Gainey, then up the wing to Corson. Corson watched by McCrimmon. Fires one. It's directed off the glass by McCrimmon and then fed to the boards. Gainey having some trouble but will recover at center ice. Pulling from Zezel. He drops back in. 40 seconds gone.
Mike, something happened on the opening faceoff. When I get a chance, I really think it was a message from Andy Van Hellemond to everybody on both sides. When I get a chance, I'll tell you about it.
Okay, we have Hayward sweeping over to Chelios now. Puts it on the stick of Strudlin. Advances it ahead to Naslund. Crisscrosses with McPhee. Back to McPhee. Drive, score! A big goal.
Is that an understatement? Mike McPhee blasts one by Ron Hextall. Strudlin up ice. Look at him take some abuse from Nottbauer. What a pass from Naslund. And a bullet shot by Mike McPhee flows right by Ron Hextall. And what a better way, I don't think there is a better way to diffuse an angry hockey team than to get on them early with goals. That's what Mike McPhee did. Montreal on top early. The fans here are loving it. Mike, as you mentioned, doing the Star Spangled Banner and cheering the Canadian national anthem. Right at the top of your screen, Brad Marsh ran Naslund into the boards after the fact.
Interesting how quickly it crystallized into sort of an international incident. Rolled along now, and it is Naslund. On now to Svoboda. Svoboda starting in. Crossman there, but it's angled, and down goes McPhee. Sutter turns for Philadelphia. Chopped by Smith, and Naslund will regain. Away from the sweep of Mellanby. Montreal drops it back in. Naslund and Strudlin, the assist on McPhee's 7th goal. And that came at 59 seconds of the first period. Marsh bumped by Lemieux. Puck kicked ahead, but Robinson has it across to Ludwig. Then advanced for Lemieux. Lemieux watched stride for stride by Brad Marsh. Wrapped up the centering pass is swung off by Sutter. Chelios there and across to Ludwig. Full house here at the Forum again tonight. 1,500 to 1,750 standing, and those who arrived earlier saw a lot more than those who just got here at the scheduled start time. Lemieux a shot, punched right out by Hextall. Lemieux follows up. Marsh is there. Presses him. It's nudged along to Walter, then behind to Bobby Smith. Smith centers, and it's held to the side of the net by Hextall. The score at the Forum in Montreal. The Canadians won, the Flyers nothing.
Champions Road to the Cup, brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? Back to the Forum in Montreal to Mike and Bill.
Years of age, 16th year of experience from Guelph. We apologize for the audio difficulties. We will get them corrected as soon as possible. Here's Ludwig a drive, and that went high and wide. Chelios fires, and that's blocked away. It is Brian Propp's pass off Corson. Punched at by McCrimmon, then Corson in front. Off the glove of Hextall. McCrimmon checks Darlene. Trying to muscle it along is Howe. Locks with Corson. And still 2 players aside, and the whistle blown. 17:24 to go in this first period in case you just joined us. There was a ritual that took place involving two of the Canadian players as we see this again.
What a chance by Corson. Hextall just got a piece of it. Corson breaking through. Corson started the game, Mike, excuse me, on this point. When the game started, Zezel was facing off against Corson. Zezel turned around to see if Hextall was ready, and while he turned, Van Hellemond simply dropped the puck. It was a 3-1 for Corson. He just grabbed the puck, wheeled it back to his defenseman, and I think Andy Van Hellemond is put out. The officials, I believe, are not only going to take charge, but they might even be offended a little bit. And Andy Van Hellemond is saying there will be no arguments, there will be no talking, there will be nothing. This is our game. You guys behave, or you will not play tonight.
There'll be a penalty coming up, and John Kordic is the first one boxed. Philadelphia will get a power play. They trail in the game by a score of 1-0. Point well taken, Bill. And we'd seen a couple of checks, but there was the first one where the stick wound up going up high. And in this series, there have been 43 minor penalties, but now we have a situation developing, and Van Hellemond asserts himself quickly.
You'd think Dave Brown would be fought out. He's wearing number 21. Just in the center of your screen. He was, I guess, the main heavyweight in that battle. His fight with Nyland went on and on and on. Then Kordic, that man, went to it with Darryl Stanley. And both Stanley and Brown came out without their jerseys and without their shoulder pads. And, you know, that's the main thing that you grip onto when you get into a fight is the other guy's equipment. See if we can get a look at what happened. Gosh, Zezel was grabbing Kordic on the way by, and then Kordic took down, I think it was Derek Smith. But without that jersey or the shoulder pads to grab onto, boy, Brown and Stanley were really at an advantage against Kordic and Nyland.
And those all occurred at about 7:15 Eastern Standard Time tonight at the conclusion of the warm-up. There you see Mike Keenan, along with Bill Clement, Mike Emmerich from the Forum in Montreal. That man, Jean Perron, watched the entire warm-up from the third row of seats behind the Canadiens bench. Mike Keenan had also ventured out, and it was after the initial altercation involving a pair of players from each team that Kordic came from the Montreal dressing room, and then players straggled out from both sides.
And Mike, as we suspected, the man that threw the first punch in the whole thing, Ed Hospodar, is scratched from the lineup, so they never even intended to dress Hospodar tonight.
Kordic gets a hooking minor at 2:47. Then there were misconducts 10 minutes to Crossman and Nomesso. Power play Philadelphia. McCrimmon with it. Flips back over to Howe. Howe a drive, and that one went wide. Around it comes to McCrimmon. Pokes it along to Sinisalo. Sinisalo checked by Carbonneau. Tries to work it through, and it's angled back out under the stick of McCrimmon. Carbonneau and Gainey come to the bench. Shift change on for the penalty-killing forwards for Montreal. It is Skrudland and Momesso with Green in back along with Chelios. Moving out with it is McCrimmon. Hands on to Eklund, who swings it in. Behind the net, Hayward leaves for Chelios. Drills it back along, and Howe tries to keep. Skrudland able to tap it away, and again, Philadelphia forced back. Good penalty killing by the Canadiens. They've killed it half off. Shots in the game are 3-1 Montreal. And it was the second shot of the game that found its way into the net. On now comes Eklund. Looks to prop. And still control. Dishes off to Sinisalo. Back to Eklund. Over to McCrimmon. Pass for Howe. Tipped by Skrudland, but Howe able to follow up. Chased off by Chelios. Puck right back out.
Boy, great play by Chelios. He's picking up where he left off in Game 5, Mike. He's all over the place killing this penalty, but in a constructive way. He's not running around out of position. He's picking his spots, and he knows when to force.
22 seconds to go on the power play. If the Canadiens kill this off, they'll have won 2 psychological battles right off. First goal and the first shorthand situation killed. Here's Dave Poulin wrapping it to Tookie. Drive, and that ricocheted off skates. Carbonneau yanks it along to Chelios. And Chelios throws for Bob Gainey. Pinching is McCrimmon. Gainey turns it loose to Chelios. 3 seconds left power play. Puck flung by Chelios. Too far for Gainey. Penalty time is up to Kordic. Puck wrapped behind, and Poulin tries to get to the front of the net. Tookie checked on the play by Carbonneau. Loose puck gathered in and brought back up by John Kordic. Up the wing, sized up by Marsh. Ludwig wants it, gets it. Backhander turned aside by Hextall. Puck scooped up by Tookie and cleared. Larry Robinson gathers in. Pass ahead to Ludwig. Ludwig drops back to Bobby Smith. Cranks one, and that's blocked off by Brad Marsh. Wrapped on for Ron Sutter. They're 2-on-2 moving out. With Tocchet, they crisscross, and Sutter ditches by the defense. Save! Hayward against Sutter, barreling into Hayward. Meanwhile, play continues. Bobby Smith clears. Samuelson unable to keep. Dogged there by Lemieux. And the puck turned back in offside. 14:26 to go. First period of play. Canadians 1, Flyers nothing.
As Brian Hayward readjusts himself, having been barreled over by Ron Sutter. What a move he puts on Lemieux. Keep in mind, Lemieux's not a defenseman, but Lemieux played it definitely like a forward. Sutter makes the shot. Says, well, I'm not even going to try and get out of the way. He just barrels over Hayward. If they can throw Hayward off his game, and you know that that's going to be an intention now that the stage has been set after the rough stuff before the game. If they can get Hayward off his game, what an advantage, because it's been a goaltender series.
Isn't it interesting that that was what Philadelphia suspected Montreal might be trying to do in Ron Hextall's case in games 3 and 4, particularly here. Now on comes Bobby Smith, checked by Derek Smith, but he escapes. Moves back along, shakes by Sutter, pops it to the corner. Rushing in is Walter, but hooked off by Marsh. Ron Sutter tries to turn, able to guide it back out to the safety of center ice, and Swoboda must chase further. The shots are 4-2 in favor of Montreal. The word we have from Jim Gregory of the National Hockey League, he's involved with the officiating program, is that stiff disciplinary action will take place, but it will not be in terms of assessments tonight. Score of the game, Canadians 1, Philadelphia nothing.
Here they can be eliminated if the Flyers win tonight, and Mike Keenan trying to do something that his team has had trouble with in the playoffs, not only in this series but against the Islanders. That is delivering the knockout punch.
Pass brought in by Poulin, has Prop in front, feeds to Brown, and a shot was off Hayward and wide. Rebound centered, and Chelios able to play. Flips it for Darlene, but it's kept by Mark Howe. Howe controlling, flips one that is knocked away by Smith, and they rule that it was a pass with the hand, and so play will be stopped. McPhee his 7th from Naslund and Sprudland at 59 seconds, as you see Big Dave Brown with the jersey.
Didn't take him long to get out of the locker room. He came out without his jersey on, and by the time he was finished with Nyland, his back was just a mess of fingernail scratches, and he was all torn up. Good thing his wife's watching the game tonight.
Big Dave is on the right wing on this line. Now he comes off, and we can set the Flyers for you with Pocket on the right side. On the left, it is Prop, and the center is Poulin. McCrimmon and Howe the defense, and Carbonneau works with Bob Gainey and Chris Nyland up front. Chelios in back with Rick Green. Prop feeds, but Green takes. 13:20 left, first period of play. 1-0 Montreal ahead. In case you're just joining us, the game was delayed by a pre-game brawl, and I'm sure there'll be more on this between periods with John Saunders back at ESPN. Icing stops the clock. Dave Poulin with a return to the lineup tonight, his 30th ever NHL playoff game, and we sure remember his 29th.
Well, the battle before the game kind of just stole a little bit of the impact, or at least the fanfare of Dave Poulin returning to the lineup. He missed 10 of 11 games, having been injured in Game 6 against the New York Rangers. Here he is on a face-off. It's a pretty good indication, especially coming up with the right hand. Broken ribs is what he had as a result of his being rammed into the boards against the Rangers. If he can take a face-off, Mike, it's a pretty good indication that he's healthy. He's wearing pretty good protective gear. He has a whole harness apparatus. His shoulder pads are hooked into the padding for his rib cage. Today he looked like he was skating all right.
It is Poulin, checked hard by Chelios. Puck behind, and Tocchet tries to get loose from Green. Tocchet drills one that ricocheted off Green's skate. Marsh with a drive. Oh, and that one wide. Around now, Samuelson must play at center ice. Teams at even strength. 12:48 to go, first period. 1-0 Montreal. In comes Marsh. Backhander juggled by Hayward. Then he swings it away along for Gainey, but it pops and is taken by Carbonneau. Carbonneau moving back further for Montreal. Had it checked away by Samuelson at the line, and on with it is Poulin. Poulin checked by Nyland. Puck given up to Carbonneau and then turned over to Marsh. Gainey starts back in for Montreal. Looks for Carbonneau. Feeds it off to Chelios. Chelios has a man in front. Carbonneau! Save! Hextall! Oh, and Carbonneau has the setup. But Hextall made the play, and now some shoving after the whistle.
Right in the middle of it again is Chris Nyland. He will have his nose into it all night long. And what a save by Hextall, coming back and robbing Guy Carbonneau. This game right now should be 2-0, if not for a great save by that man. Nice move by Chelios. A couple of nice moves. One to spring Chelios loose. Was that Samuelson that went down? As soon as Samuelson goes down, Chelios steps around him and tapes the pass out to Carbonneau. Nyland's right in the middle of it, getting it from Brad Marsh from behind. Watch Hextall, just dives down. There's the shot. He gets it right up under his arm.
Did Brad Marsh get a piece of the stick of Carbonneau as he thrust it across there, and maybe that kept the shot down or not?
I don't know. I think Carbonneau might have assumed he could just slide it in under Hextall, because as Hextall came down to the ice, the puck met Hextall arriving at the ice at the same time. Look at Poulin taking out Gainey. The two captains going at it.
It is game 6. Philadelphia ahead in the series 3-2. They trail in this game 1-0. 12:15 left first period. Brown's pass misses for Prop. Larry Robinson turning with it for Montreal. Robinson fans on his first try and then slides it to Ludwig. Out it comes to McPhee. McPhee checked by Zezel. Play followed up by Robinson. Skrudland had it knocked loose by McCrimmon. Naslund moving in. Shoved off by Howe, but Skrudland to Naslund behind. Wants to shake it around in front. Centering pass. Robinson a shot. Hit a leg. Went wide. Skrudland carried off by McCrimmon. Puck tapped loose, and it's Zezel with it. Wrapping it along now for Dave Brown. Brown's pass is controlled by Prop. He's hooked by Skrudland. Swings it around, and Brown steps in. Brown had it fed away by McPhee, and the Canadiens take over. The shots are 6-2. Montreal, a minor penalty to the Canadiens and misconducts to a player from each side. On now and moving with it. Naslund in front, and it's sent wide by Ludwig. And down goes Hextall. Puck kept by McPhee, but his shot off a flyer. Naslund moving toward it. Gets away from the check of Brown. Play made by Skrudland. Back it hops to Ludwig. Pinching along with Prop, and the play can be made back by Brown. On the turning stick of Pelle Eklund, has Brown headed toward the net. Eklund can't get it through because of the defensive work of Larry Robinson. Hayward tends it to Robinson, who swings it right back off for Skrudland. Skrudland takes a look, has Lemieux, but the pass tipped across to Derek Smith. Feeds to Marsh, matched up with Shel Samuelson on defense. Shift change on Montreal, as on with it comes Eklund. Eklund starting in. Centers a pass cut off by Robinson. Samuelson drive, and Robinson got that one. Sinisalo to the slot. Had it punched away by Lemieux. Marsh with a drive, and that one sailed wide. Puck controlled by Svoboda on defense. Wraps it along, and right there to get it is Ryan Walter. Walter nudges ahead to Bobby Smith. Moves along with Lemieux. Smith dropped. Walter shot. Deflected by Marsh to the glass. Swung away by Hextall, but played by Walter. Drops it over to Lemieux. Lemieux looked to the slot. It was empty, and then he's buried by the checking of Don Knockbauer. Walter pops it off the rail, and it's handled by Samuelson. Of the Flyer defense, Samuelson to Eklund, kept by Svoboda. Shot goes wide. Sinisalo takes for Philadelphia with 10 minutes to go first period. Into the glove of Don Knockbauer. Knockbauer checked by Chelios. Fights his way loose. Checked again by Chelios. Puck gets to Ron Sutter. Drops it back for Knockbauer, and Chelios wedges it right to the boards. They're trying to punch it loose, and Andy Van Hellemond says it's frozen stoppage of play. From the Forum in Montreal, we hope you're enjoying the telecast tonight. Montreal 1, Philadelphia 0. Another one of those face-offs coming up, but this time it'll be Ron Sutter to take it for Philadelphia opposite Guy Carbonneau. That's one thing that's underestimated, Bill, is the upper body strength you need, not just the quickness.
Yeah, there's so many variables, and you know, another variable is the stiffness of your stick. Centers can't really use sticks that are whippy, that there's a lot of play in, because they just snap on face-offs and you're not as strong.
Puck dumped in. Gainey checked by Mellenby, and Scott Mellenby had it taken away by Chelios, who was in deep. Puck fed off Knockbauer, kept by Carbonneau, and right to Gainey. Looks to Nyland, out in front, save! McCrimmon was there to clear it away. On now Ron Sutter, but it's left behind by both him and Knockbauer, who took the shoulder of Nyland. Good hitting taking place here. Knockbauer steps ahead and drops it in. Carbonneau back to have it. Philadelphia has been shotless for, we would guess, about the last 4 minutes of playing time, at least. On now it is Chelios. Off Brad Marsh. Puck retrieved by Brian Prop. Starts back up with Tocchet. Prop hammers one, and that directed away by Hayward. Chelios to take it. Chris Chelios has been in deep, but Canadiens defensemen have been. Remember in Game 5 when Robinson set up Craig Ludwig, who was positioned to the right of the Philadelphia goal, right out in front. Here's Chelios back to play, chops it along for Kordic, but Marsh is able to stop it. Flops one back, hoping for Brian Prop. Chelios right on him. Prop centered one just away from Eklund. Pinching his Marsh, but it's sent right back along and to neutral ice. Marsh turning once more. Leaned on by Kordic, but he wedges one in. The Kordic takes over. Lost to Eklund. Puck to Prop. Shot is wide. Rebound Diving for it, Ludwig, and Prop put it on goal again. Pocket pivoting for Philadelphia. Shoved on the play by Chelios, who nudges it along so that Dahlin can start up ice with it. Dahlin looks for Kordic and Corson as he moves in. Dahlin with a shot, blocked away by Marge. Samuelson carries off his man so that Ekman can control. Under 8 minutes to play. First period. Montreal ahead 1-0. Play made across to Prop, and Prop just fluffs one that Hayward can play along to Rick Green. It is Derek Smith, Poulin, and Sinisalo for Philadelphia with McCrimmon and Howe in back. And it is the Corson line with McPhee and Naslund. For Montreal as Howe turns away from the falling Mike McPhee. McPhee, the owner of the only goal in the game. Poulin feeds up the wing. Sinisalo has Derek Smith there. A shot kicked out by Hayward. Rebound sent wide by a falling Derek Smith. And Hayward tries to hold it against the back of the net. Still they scrum for it. Stoppage of play. Andy Van Hellemond is showing a great deal of control of himself, because the first hit he could almost look to call penalties, but there have been some good, solid, clean body checks, and he's been able to just keep the game in tow. Philadelphia with 4 shots in the last minute of play coming on some here, but the score still Montreal 1, Philadelphia nothing. Mind what Bill was saying about face-offs. Just imagine yourself having had a broken rib or back trouble of any kind, and that's what Dave Poulin must overcome. As you see this play in front, which wound up with Hextall going down. Craig Ludwig was the man on top. This is Skrudland and Dave Poulin, the man we spoke of, who has had a broken rib. Naslund wraps, puck curls along to McPhee, moving right on him, giving him a check as Poulin. Green there, shouldered by Derek Smith, but not until he'd released to Naslund. Back on now for the turning Mike McPhee, forced back by Sinisalo, but the play is over to Green and then to Larry Robinson. Played right to Mark Howe. Howe starts back for Philadelphia. Fires one. Pass stop. Rebound. Poked away by Robinson. And Robinson has already shown leadership on defense with some good, solid play in his own zone tonight. Skrudland to drive. Off the glass. Hextall reaches. Flips. Skrudland allows it to go. Puck played to Chelios. He's checked by Poulin. And with that check, play moved back to center ice. Chelios fires one ahead, but it's across 2 lines to Skrudland and a stoppage of play.
Well, even the little guys are going after Hextall. Naslund came in on him. Both got their sticks up in the air, and Hextall ended up losing his, but here it is. He comes out to clear it. Look, Naslund goes right to him and pushes him. Hextall gives him a shot in the face. There he loses his stick. Mark Howe tries to get it back to him, but there's no way at this stage Mark Howe can turn around and hand it to him. He's got to face the play.
This is a game that had a certain amount of tension over it, but not so much as when the warm-up broke out. There'll be more information on that because we have so little time to brief you on what took place earlier tonight, those of you who have just joined us. Budweiser keeps all the action going so you can enjoy the game. For all you do across this great nation, this Bud's for you. Ludwig rolls. Lemieux there. Checked by Zezel. Marsh with a shot blocked off. Lemieux quickly to Bobby Smith and then on to Walter. Walter dumps in, can't fight his way by Samuelson. We get a stoppage of play. Andy Van Hellemond has spotted a penalty. Elbowing is the call. Montreal will get a power play. Dave Brown will go to the box. So 2 of the leading contenders in the pre-game bout have been the recipients of minors. Kordic earlier for a hook. And now Brown for an elbow. The score, Montreal 1, Philadelphia nothing.
There's Dave Brown. He's off for elbowing at 13:38 of the first period. There's a battle between Zezel and Lemieux, and Brown comes in. Looks as if he kept his elbow down, but that was the one that Andy Van Hellemond called an elbow. And now we get a chance to see Montreal's power play that's been pretty awesome in this series. 6 for 12, 3 for 6 at home. They're going at a 50% clip, Mike. That's strong.
Philadelphia has contended that one of the problems in defending against Montreal's power play is that their craftiest shorthand man up front, Dave Poulin, has not been in the lineup. He's out there right now as Smith plays along to Naslund. Naslund looks to Swoboda, also to the front where Walter is stationed with Howe. Swoboda across to Chelios. Poulin forces his way to him. The dish is to Bobby Smith, then to Chelios and across to Swoboda. Hammers one, flopped up and down, and then handled by Hextall. It hung in the air seemingly so long.
Right, and from where we're sitting, we couldn't tell if it was coming down in the net or in front of the net. and everybody's getting into the act. After the fact, both McCrimmon and Brian Propp were taking shots at Ryan Walter. Here's a look at Walter on the screen. Well, he jumps up right between his legs. The puck comes and hits Hextall. That had to surprise him. Like a hand grenade being tossed at you and not picking it up until it hits you in the chest.
The man is playing his 91st game since the middle of September. 6 preseason, 66 in the regular season, and his 19th tonight. And there is Bobby Smith, who was Montreal's only Iron Man in the regular season. All 80 games. Poulin and Smith for the faceoff. And the puck dropped unfairly. They say encroachment by Naslund and Crossman. Wayne Bonney comes over to issue a warning.
Mike, I talked about the sticks and the shaft for centerman. They have to be stiff. Well, you don't have to worry about how stiff Poulin's stick is. He has an aluminum shaft, and every time his stick breaks, it will only break in the blade. There's actually fittable blades that come in and out of the aluminum shaft.
Here's Robinson along to Mats Naslund. Feeds it across to Chelios. Had trouble with the pass. Poulin right in to check him. Poulin trying to work it along in Brad Marsh there, but Walter caused some problems. Puck flipped over to Brian Propp. Moves out with Poulin and Crossman. They have a 3-on-2. On with it is Propp. Gives over to Crossman. Feeds in front to Poulin. He scores! A shorthanded goal. And the game is tied at 1.
Boy, what a way to roar back. Dave Poulin, the inspiration, and he's ruthless. At the other end, he's standing in the middle of the box, slashing away at Bobby Smith when Smith isn't even near the puck. Robinson's trying to defend. Here they come. It's a 3-on-2. Crossman's to our left. Propp will feed to Crossman right here. Now at the bottom of your screen, Poulin just keeps on barreling, and it was a 3-on-2. The two other defenders are at the top. He banks it off his skate right up onto his stick. See how Brian Hayward plays it. He's following it along. He goes for the poke check, and you know what? The stick was out there for the poke check, but when Poulin caromed the puck off the skate, it jumped up right over Hayward's stick.
Where did we get a good look at that? Poulin's third goal, Philadelphia's 5th shorthandedly of the playoffs. Crossman and Propp get the assist. And it came with 1 minute and 4 seconds left on the penalty. Power play still on. Claude Lemieux has it. Feeds back to Robinson. Robinson controlling. Thorson is the man at the front. Lemieux a drive. That flopped wide. Dahlin takes it behind. Cradles it away from the slash of Brad McCrimmon. Puck kept by Dahlin. Feeds over to Robinson. Then to Dahlin. Feeds off of Svoboda. Howe there, and Svoboda lifted it by. Lemieux takes over for Montreal with 22 seconds to go. Power play. Diving play. Nice one by Dahlin. Robinson rolls. Hextall checks with Thorson and goes down. Puck kicked loose as Hextall back to his goal crease. Thorson still controlling. Feeds it along to Dahlin. Back to Robinson. Lets it go. Deflected wide by Lemieux. Howe turning with it for Philadelphia's defense. Lofts it back out. And with that, Dave Brown is out of the penalty box, and Philadelphia has killed off a Montreal power play. This is Ron Sutter. Hammers one into the breadbasket of Hayward. Loose puck. Overskated by Sutter and then poked behind. Getting it is Svoboda. Hurries it along on the boards to Lemieux. Lemieux starting out with Thorson. Has Nyland ahead. Thorson moving on Brad Marsh, but the Montreal attack was slowed down because they were in the midst of a shift change. Now here's Derek Smith moving in. His shot was tipped away by Green. Greg Ludwig pops one back out, and Crossman will handle in the final 3:45 of this first period. The pregame was eventful, and so has this opening period been. Philadelphia has outshot Montreal now 9-8, so the Flyers have really flexed some offensive muscle here in the last 5 minutes. Crossman over to drive it further, and Green will chase. The Canadians have Green and Ludwig. Those are the two passers you've seen just now. Gainey on left wing, Carbonneau at center, and on the right side, Nyland. Still some trouble for Montreal. Carbonneau able to poke it away and now get some possession back deep. Rolls it along, but Mellenby the first one there. Checked down by Green. Puck handled by Ludwig. Headmans the puck to Chris Nyland. Nyland moving, drops it off to Ludwig. Looks to the front. Ludwig centers, stuffed by Gainey and stopped by Hextall's pass. Puck slipped by Gainey, and Marsh carries him off so that Mellenby can have it. Bob Gainey undoubtedly would want that chance once more. Eklund moving with Crossman, and offside is called against Philadelphia.
I think it's just about time for Ron Hextall to start yelling at his defenseman, Mike, consistently in this first period, whether it be a 2-on-2 or a 3-on-3, which is numerically an even situation. The Flyers defensemen are backing in and giving away the blue line. And Montreal, you know what happens then? They just penetrate at will. And it gets tougher and tougher when you're standing back there in goal, because not only does the opposition penetrate, but they use their defensemen as screens. One time, Corson came down in the last 2 minutes. There were 4 Flyers back. They still backed in. And that's going to be a problem. You can't do it when a team is really on the roll. Montreal's skating pretty well tonight. They just can't back in. They're going to have to shape it up and stand up on their blue line, stand up the Montreal forwards.
We'll watch to see if that becomes a change in Philadelphia near the end of this period, or perhaps in the second. But right now, in terms of offensive thrust, reflected in shots on goal, the teams are at 9 aside. Skrudland flips. Down went Naslund. So back to get it is Zezel. Zezel and Brad McCrimmon are deep in the Philadelphia end. Brian Propp looking for the pass that's outletted by Howe. Tipped for Propp. Svoboda there, and the two go to the corner. And Propp with a bear hug on Svoboda. Play continues, and it's fed back out. Here's McCrimmon striding for it ahead of Naslund. And it's flipped off the glass. Following up is Howe, but the play is ruled offside. 2:19 left in the first.
Well, I wonder if Canada's Prime Minister, the man on the right, Brian Mulroney, got here in time for the warm-up. He's had enough action of his own in his Canadian government. Popularity has sagged a little bit. Ron Corey, the Montreal Canadiens, sitting to Brian Mulroney's right. He's close to the action. If he was there during the warm-up, he was certainly close to the action, wasn't he?
And he had Jean Perron sitting about 2 rows behind him. And then Perron, when everything got heated up, took off his sport coat that he was so casually wearing. As you see this lock by Propp on Svoboda again.
Boy, not a bad takedown. Over the hip. Kaboom.
This used to be a wrestler we saw in the Midwest, Cowboy Bob Ellis, that had that as one of his devastating holds.
Cowboy Bob, huh? Remember him well.
Yeah, I'll bet. All right, play made by Marsh. Ripped back along for Derek Smith, but he's shoved off by Robinson. Puck kept by Smith. Smith a drive. Save Hextall. And the rebound gathered in by Sutter. Under 2 minutes to play in this first period. Game tied at 1. Here is Bobby Smith once more. Has Walter. Can't get it to him because of Marsh. Sutter can't clear. Samuelson is over there trying to pull loose from Bobby Smith, and the two just mutually holding one another. Still the battle continues. Derek Smith trying to clear. What a scramble along the boards. Worked by Walter to Bobby Smith. He's down. Momesso with it. Checked off by Samuelson. And Marsh takes over for the Flyers. Brad Marsh rolls it ahead to Mellenby in the last 90 seconds of this period. Breaks from Ludwig, and then it just shoved down by Robinson. Ludwig outlets on up to Lemieux. Lemieux gets by Mark Howe. Lemieux a shot off Hextall. And bounces back around for Tocchet, but it's swung away by Momesso, just buried by a shoulder check from Tocchet. Good physical hockey game here in the first period, and just a minor penalty apiece. Momesso checked by McCrimmon. Puck spun by Tocchet, shoveled by McCrimmon to Eklund, and Philadelphia moves back out. Mark Howe ahead with Brian Propp. Looks it over and gives to Propp for a shot that's off Chelios. Hayward loses to Propp behind, but then he's checked by Corson. Puck played by Eklund. No one to pass to. Puts it off the side of the goal. Sealed by Hayward. Stoppage of play.
Boy, it's still going on out there, Mike. The chippiness. There's Chelios and Propp going at it, and any time either team gets near one of the other guys' goaltenders, it still looks like a real combustible situation to me. And I'm not real clear on the rule. We were told before the game, and I think there was clarification that everybody was looking for when we mentioned that the referees were able to hand out 5 major penalties for fighting and 5 game misconducts if they wanted
per side.
Per side, maximum. And for some reason they chose not to, and we're still unclear as to whether or not they really had that option. We were told that, and it's such a bizarre circumstance that it really doesn't appear in the rule book anywhere, I don't think.
It could be one of those situations that is a matter of policy that they've established whenever they have these situations, but not specified. For example, the goaltender clearing over the glass. That one is not specified in the rule book at all, but it was a policy adopted and first conveyed to us in mid-year. Through the glass unclearly. You saw Guy Carbonneau, puck won by the Flyers. Crossman a drive, and that blocked down by Carbonneau. And Sinisalo wonders where it is. and still is wondering as he gets up. Do we see the puck yet?
Well, you got to like Carbonneau's effort there. Yeah, there it is. Carbonneau lost the draw pretty cleanly and went back to the point. So what does a guy do, a centerman that hates losing face-off? He threw himself down in front of the shot. Here comes Carbonneau. He's just lost it cleanly to Zezel. Got to do it. That's guilt motivated. You know that? I know for a fact that I'd lose those. I'd say, oh, man, I can't be on the hook for this one. I might as well go ahead and get down in front of it and get hit with a shot rather than see it go by me up into the top of the net. Guilt.
Carbonneau has grown a mustache over the swollen upper lip, and it was greatly swollen in the early stages of this series on a check. Back out now comes Chelios, moving with Nyland and Carbonneau. Chelios rolls and goes to get it. Centers one. Carbonneau nearly finessed it in front, but it is Poulin rolling it back down. Clock has ticked down to 25 seconds to go in this first period. Glad you've joined us tonight on ESPN. The shots are 10-9 Montreal. The game is tied at 1. The series is Philadelphia 3, Montreal 2. If a seventh game is needed, we'll have it for you on ESPN 2 nights from now at the Spectrum. Here's Carbonneau, a shot tipped out of play. Brad Marsh ever so quick with either the body, the skates, or the stick.
Boy, they're forcing themselves to be quick, too. Every time, especially the pair of McCrimmon, at least Marsh and Crossman, they seem to be the culprits backing in a little more than Howe and McCrimmon, Mike. And they're going to have to be quick to recover because they're setting themselves up at a disadvantage by backing in. Once Montreal gets roaming in their zone, gosh, you get all twisted around.
Has it been an isolated incident? We were noticing that defensemen were going deep for Montreal, or do you see that as something that's really developed much over the course of the game? I did see it on one occasion earlier in the period when Chelios was in so deep, and I remember seeing one offensive foray they had in the game in Philadelphia where Robinson fed in front of Ludwig, but I can't really recall seeing more of it.
They made that adjustment pretty well, and they moved down to 5 defensemen. Perhaps if we get a chance during intermission, we'll talk about it. And tonight, I really have noticed them into the play a little more, and their timing is better, too, when you play 5. They feel as if they're more involved in the game, and they're really not afraid to get right up in tight and push the play. The only problem with that is you got to be real careful. Your timing, your selection's got to be great.
Robinson scores!
Well, does that answer your question?
Yes.
It will be a frustrated Flyers locker room in intermission. We're looking at the clock, 4 seconds to go. Look at the scrum that Brad Marsh gets tied up in. That lets Robinson go around, and I believe it goes between Hextall's arm and his body, but that was all set up. And you know, a set play, there's no question Robinson was going to break for the net. Watch Robinson. How long did it take him to take off? As soon as that puck came out, Robinson was going, maybe even before it came out, and he just pops it up and it handcuffs Ron Hextall.
Can you hear us above this ovation? The Robinson goal tacked on to the Montreal first period. And the score at the end of one is 2-1 Canadians. That's Robinson's third. He has 17 points in his last 11 games.
And we've talked about it being a goaltender series. Does Ron Hextall look sharp to you tonight? He doesn't to me.
No.
And I'll tell you, what a killer. 4 seconds to go and Montreal scores. It'll be a big hill for Philly to climb.
The score of our game, Montreal 2, the Flyers 1.
The real story happened before they even dropped the first puck. This while the teams were in their pregame skate, the pregame warm-up. As you can see coming right now on your screen, Claude Lemieux has a superstition whereby he likes to put the puck in the opposing team's net that after the pregame warm-up. Apparently the Flyers took exception over the last few games. They were turning the net around, and this is how it all started. Ed Hospodar comes out. He and Lemieux go at it. Chico Resch is around as well. Then some other players start to come back on the ice. Keep in mind, most of the players had left the ice, and also keep in mind, as you see the punches flail, most of the players are trying to play peacemaker, but it's not going to work out for some of the heavy hitters in this one. And you can see Brown and Nyland going at it here, this towards the end of everything. Where are the officials? Well, they're still in their locker room preparing for the game, and that is why they were not on the ice. A couple of the officials who were not working the game, standing by the boards, did see what happened, called out some names. Now, the early word that we have is that no penalties called for this game. That we know already. Now we want to find out if any will be called for later games. Montreal leading it 2-1. Let us go now now to the Forum in Montreal. Go out to Mike Emmerich and Bill Clement. Gentlemen, you say you've been passed a few notes during the course of this first period. Exactly what do you know now that we didn't know before?
I think we probably brought you up to date on all that we knew. Nothing late came in the latter part when Robinson scored, and I happened to look away.
Only that Brian O'Neill was going to review the tapes immediately after the first period, during the first intermission, and he declined the opportunity to come on camera and to make any decisions. But they're going to start the review right away, John. And the point that I have to wonder at this stage is this. If the decision is made, will it just affect these two teams? If, let's say, this goes 7 games tonight, or the Montreal Canadiens win and force a 7th game, will a decision be made that will affect only Game 7 back in Philadelphia? Or if there are suspensions, will one of these teams have to carry suspensions into the series against Edmonton?
The question I want to ask you, gentlemen, as we looked at everything transpire and such, why were not any penalties called for this game? And the second question is, if it's because they do not have a provision for such an incident, then how can they, in effect, even call penalties for the second game?
Well, it was our understanding that there was a provision which would allow 5-minute fighting majors and game misconducts to be assessed to 5 players from each team. Now, this is not specified in the NHL rulebook, which Bill and I have privy to, but rather we understood, and some of this comes secondhand, John, that this was a policy that they had. So they did have the opportunity to make that sort of an assessment, but decided not to. We heard a rumor that there were going to be some stiff sentences handed down, but not tonight. Some of what we've heard has been secondhand, some rumor, and we haven't been able to really get a chance to talk to the actual people who might be making the decisions, John.
Okay, it's unfortunate that we have to spend so much time talking about something that happened before they even dropped the first puck. So let's talk a little bit about what happened after they dropped the puck. The Montreal Canadiens, of course, facing elimination. Do you feel, Bill Clement, they have come out as strongly as you would have expected and done the things they need to do? Obviously, they have the lead.
Yeah, I think they came out very strong, and I think the Philadelphia Flyers are definitely the ones who are trying to intimidate the Montreal Canadiens and not vice versa. But the Flyers are really in a tough spot now with the goal that Robinson scored with 4 seconds to go in the period. Plus, they didn't seem defensively as hungry as I've seen them, Mike. I don't know how you saw it, but in the first period, the Flyers in one-on-one confrontations, when they are on top of their game and their concentration level is there, are tigers in one-on-one situations. Tonight, I didn't think that the Flyers were that well prepared in the one-on-one situations. On the other hand, Montreal was tramping pretty good out there.
The one that stood out in my mind, I think, was Dave Poulin. He was the one who seemed consistently to be getting to the pucks one-on-one, and here's a guy playing under some real restrictions and handicaps. We had a grand plan, John, tonight at the top of our show to talk about Larry Robinson and Dave Poulin as the keys to their teams, and they're the two that have the goals. Not that we're clairvoyant at all, but that all got lost in the pregame brawl.
It certainly did, but those two key players as well. The New York Islanders know what they can do to come back against the Philadelphia Flyers. Perhaps the Montreal Canadiens have stolen a page. Thank you very much. We'll go back to you in the second period with more. That's the score, 2-1 right now, and we'll go back with more in just a moment. The Bud Light scoreboard is coming your way as we'll run down just what's happened in the first period after they dropped the puck. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
And it is Green along with Chris Chelios. And it's tossed to Howe, who hands to McCrimmon. So now you have the defense pairs for the start of this second period of play. Bob Gainey controls for Montreal. Starts in on McCrimmon. Looks for a pass. Dishes off for Momesso, but it scoots around and Corson has it. Corson checked on the play by Ron Sutter. Momesso wrapped up by McCrimmon. Gainey able to take it. Points it back to Green. Angles it back around, off of Gainey. Corson moving, away from the checking of Ron Sutter, and he waltzes Corson to the boards. Still the play continues. Momesso with a try. Wrapped by McCrimmon. Then bumped is Gainey by Mark Howe, and then freight training the bunch is Momesso. Turning with it is Mellenby. Ran right into traffic. Couldn't go through Andy Van Helleman and took the check of Gainey. Puck kept by Chelios, but it's angled across to Dave Brown. Brown moving back for Philadelphia. Eyed up by Rick Green. Has Mellenby moving to the slot, but can't get free to pass. Green is there trying to lock up Brown. Puck kicks on to Mike McPhee. McPhee got that big first goal in the game just 59 seconds into the first period. Score of the game, Montreal 2, Philadelphia 1. A minute and 15 seconds gone, period number 2. On with it now comes Tocchet to Prop for a drive. Deflected out of play by Larry Robinson. Boy, has Robinson ever been strong for the Canadiens? Not only does he have a goal, but he has stopped himself at least 4 plays that I can recall, 3 in the first period.
Yeah, earlier in the series, I thought he was playing like a like a guy that was 34 years old. In the last 2 games, meaning tonight and the last one, he's playing like he's 34 years young. Really, and which brings us to the point of Jean Perron deciding in Game 5 in Philadelphia to suit up only 5 defensemen, which in today's day and age in the NHL is just about unheard of. It worked in Philadelphia, so he decided to do it again tonight. And the downside of that is that should one of his defensemen end up injured, or should a brawl happen on the ice and a couple of guys end up getting tossed out, or should they get into penalty trouble, namely the defenseman getting penalties, 10-minute misconduct, he's down to 3, perhaps 4. That's a tough situation. Here's Mellenby trying to go around Gainey with Momesso crushing him, and right in behind is Andy Van Hellemond. He just can't avoid being in the center of things tonight.
A center ice faceoff will result. The team's making some changes in lines. Poulin's unit came on, and that chases the one of Eklund. And so Jean Perron says, I'll counter with my own. Brings out Brian Skrudland. As you see close up, Kjell Samuelsson. Big Philadelphia defenseman paired up with Brad Marsh. Skrudland, who was in the doghouse earlier in this series, missed Game 4 as a result. Was back on for Game 5, and of course tonight Game 6 with McPhee and Naslund his wingers right now. Marsh flips into Larry Robinson. Crisply off Skrudland, taken on by Naslund. It's a 3-on-3 as Naslund feeds. McPhee dropped to Naslund, a shot wide. And along to Derek Smith of Philadelphia, starts back out with Sinisalo. Smith moving on Robinson. Takes a look and backhands one that is waved at by Hayward, sent by Sinisalo, but collared by Skrudland. On now to Naslund. 18:10 to go. Second period of play. Our game tonight on ESPN. Wales Division Game 6. 2-1 Montreal. McPhee dubs one. And Hextall with a little punch over to Kjell Samuelsson. Now Skrudland moving on him, so the play is off Marsh. Walter has it. Starts back in. Bumped off by Samuelsson. Dave Poulin moves it back up ice. Poulin nicely sidesteps Bobby Smith, and the puck rolls over near Derek Smith, but Lemieux is there to clear to Robinson. Then out to Ryan Walter. Feeds up the wing to Craig Ludwig. Ludwig drops it in deep. And Hextall sets up for McCrimmon. Rolls it along, but can't get it to Peter Zezel. Now check that, Daryl Stanley. Puck flung by Robinson. Back to play as McCrimmon. It is Zezel at center. Stanley on the left wing, and on the right wing, Dave Brown. Pass ahead for Lemieux. Chopped to Howe. And Stanley controls on the Philadelphia wing. The shots in the first period were Montreal 11, Philadelphia 10. Only one shot here in the second, that by the Canadians. Brown has the puck knocked away by Ludwig, and it comes back in, catching Flyers offside. The score here at the Forum in Montreal. Canadians 2, Flyers 1.
Back to the Forum in Montreal to Mike and Bill.
Philadelphia attacking now as Brad Marsh throws it in. Rolls along to Mellenby, sends it behind for Sutter. Don Knockbauer moving in, jams it back to Marsh. Hurries one in front. Sutter tries to control. Down he goes, and it is held by Hayward, and then Knockbauer is shoved to the glass after he got his stick up on the goalkeeper for Montreal, Brian Hayward. Bill, I'm with you. I've marveled at how many times there have been these situations, and nothing has really broken out completely.
It will.
You still sense that? You still get that sort of temperature of this game?
Yeah, if you watch them away from the play, and it's tough for anybody at home doing it, but I sit here and watch them away from the play, and you can tell the intensity that each player has. They're jabbing and slashing at each other far, far away from the puck.
Penalties apiece. We'll get them for you in a moment. Here at the Forum, it's 2 for Montreal, 1 for Philadelphia.
In the making, Ron Sutter has his feet pushed out from under him by Swoboda. You saw Knockbauer come in and take a swipe at Brian Hayward once he froze in the puck. Then Chelios went after him, and the scrum started again.
The penalties will cancel. Knockbauer and Sutter are sitting in the Philadelphia box. Chelios and Bobby Smith in Montreal. Presidents prime ministers, players, coaches, and fans. You know, there are some instances where fans might have been tempted to have gotten involved, but that shows the respect that this crowd here in Montreal has. Despite all that was going on the ice, there were no disturbances down there.
I think it's a pretty good night for Andy to have his helmet buttoned up nice and tight.
Eklund and Carbonneau for the face-off. Teams are at full strength. Ludwig encroaching, and so is Tocchet. Boy, inches become so important, don't they? And you step over my side an inch.
That's it. Nobody is giving any of the inches. A lot of times you let the other guy slide, but tonight, the way this game started, no one is backing up an inch.
Eklund and Carbonneau, won cleanly by Carbonneau, then to Green. Misses for Gainey, gets McCrimmon. Angles to Tocchet. Backhand pass was off the skate of Ludwig. That's why Eklund couldn't play. Green turning away from Eklund's forechecking. Drops off to Gainey, who shoves with McCrimmon. Puck taken back up by Carbonneau. With Nyland, a 2-on-3. Carbonneau right by. Lost it off his stick because of the hook check of Howe. Spun in front. Hextall kicks it in front. Then covers up with a stoppage of play.
Boy, kind of a tough night for Ron Hextall, Mike. I didn't think either one of the goals in the first period was a real strong goal. Both of them got by. I'm not so sure it's not Prop that hooks. Well, Howe and Prop both take a swipe at him. Hextall makes that save. And then Nyland just wheels around and dumps it in front. And you can see that Hextall kicked it out right to where Carbonneau was. That's Mark Howe hanging onto the crossbar.
Guy Carbonneau trained as many of the Montreal Canadiens are in their farm system. Just the last-minute hook of Howe seemed to throw things off. Carbonneau was a part of the Canadian system when they had a farm team in Halifax called the Nova Scotia Voyageurs. Their farm team in Sherbrooke is in the best-of-7 American Hockey League Calder Cup Finals, trailing Rochester 2-1, with Game 4 of that series tonight in Rochester. From the tie-up, emerging is Crossman. Out they come, and it is Rick Tocchet moving it up the wing. Drops it in, then goes to Chase. Out to get it, Hayward. Brad Marsh pinching in deep. Tocchet points it back to Poulin. Shoots one, and that off Hayward. Rebound controlled by Dahlin. Loses to Poulin. Gives it over to Tocchet. And Rick Tocchet tries to deal it to the corner, but it is Ludwig starting back up ice. Hands it over for Corson. It's slowed to Dahlin, and the play breaks down. Momesso plays it safely back to Green, and he has trouble. So Hayward there to steer it around, but past Ludwig. Here's Crossman keeping. Crossman hit by Momesso. Skitters one across the goal mouth, and it is played to Poulin. Off Tocchet. Quick changes of possession. Crossman a shot knocked down. Another shot by Tocchet is wide. Dahlin from Montreal gets away from the big booming check of Poulin, but Poulin with the puck to Propufan. Crossman regroups at center ice. 15:20 left, second period. In case you're just joining us, the Canadiens lead the Flyers by a count of 2-1. Crossman's pass misses for Sinisato. Ludwig misses for McPhee. And there'll be an icing touch-up to stop the clock. The shots are 13-11 Montreal. The game is 2-1 Montreal. And the Philadelphia star of this series is matched up against one of the better Canadians in this series, Guy Carbonneau. And Carbonneau prevails to Svoboda, who dishes off to Robinson. Pass misses, though, for Gainey, but comes to Carbonneau. Crosses with Nyland. Carbonneau drops it back. Svoboda drive, hit the goal post. And the puck pops back to Svoboda. Up played to Carbonneau, then Robinson. Angles, but Hextall there. Swung it into Gainey, and it's out in front. And it is Marsh off Sinisato. Fanning is Nyland. Following up is Sinisato. Moves in, can't get by the defense. Still works, though. Sinisalo's centering pass is checked over the glass by Svoboda, and play halted. It has been difficult at the end to our right, hasn't it?
It's been difficult all over the place. When Sinisalo this time was trying to sneak through, he was getting slashed from one side by Nyland. The adrenaline's still pumping. I wonder how Peter Svoboda likes it. Not like that in Czechoslovakia. There's the shot that caroms right off the side of the post and goes high. And then Ron Hextall got the puck after that, Mike, and tried to nail it around the back of the net. And it was actually squeezed off on one of the Montreal forwards. We hardly ever see him not do what he wants to do and what he sets out to do. wondering if he's shaking a little bit. He didn't have a great game in game 5. The 2 goals tonight weren't great goals at all.
And it is really rare for him in regular season or playoffs to have 2 difficult ones back-to-back.
Right, because of his system that Bernie Parent has designed for him, and it's a psychological system, a mental thing, and also a physical system of goaltending. And Bernie says Ron never has 2 bad games because we can correct anything that he did wrong in the first game. Well, I don't know.
Here is Skrudland, drops it to McPhee, couldn't get by Eklund. McPhee would have been all alone but for Eklund's check. It is Howe on the turning stick of Derek Smith. Gets away from McPhee, moves along on Craig Ludwig, pivots, and that one went off Ludwig. Mellenby checked by Chelios. Scott Mellenby tries to get to the front, but is double teamed. Here is Smith giving to Howe. Howe hurries. McCrimmon a drive, and that hit Derek Smith, played by Skrudland. Tripped up. Right now, a delayed call. It's Naslund lofting it in and just giving it up to the Flyers, and so Montreal will get a power play. 13:53, second period. Hope you're enjoying the game tonight. Montreal 2, Philadelphia 1.
I'm Charles Schwab. Over 1 million investors who make their own investment decisions trade with us. Here are a few reasons why.
Sorry to keep you waiting, Nick. Had to phone my broker.
Your broker? It's 9 p.m.
Right. I can place an order anytime. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You see, my broker's Charles Schwab.
Oh, hold it, Dave. Isn't Schwab a discount broker?
Sure. Schwab saves me as much as 70% on commissions.
And you can place an order 24 hours a day?
Yeah, any day of the week. My order will be at the stock exchange when the market opens tomorrow. Well, we're making our presentation.
Well, the service and discounts sound great. Maybe it's time for me to give Schwab a call.
For a free booklet on how you can save up to 76% on brokerage commissions, call now 800-372-3000, toll free. That's 800-372-3000. Charles Schwab, America's largest discount broker.
Derek Smith sent off for hooking at 6:08. Montreal gets its second power play pop.
Pretty clear cut on this one. That was called a hook. It could have been a trip, but Skrudland went down. Smith is definitely a trip. Here it is again.
Bobby Smith with Walter and Naslund on the power play. Robinson and Swoboda in back. Montreal failed on its earlier chance, so that makes them 6 for 13 on the series. That is tremendous. Here's Robinson. Over to Swoboda. At the front is Ryan Walter. Had his stick down, wanted the pass, but Swoboda keeps. Robinson drive is wide. Trimmin there to take. Guides off to Poulin. Clears, but off an angle iron. It's kept by Smith. Then over to Walter. Pivots and hands to Naslund. That's Naslund. Guides it back to Robinson. Dishes back off to Naslund. At the front again is Walter. Watched there by McCrimmon. Puck to the side of the goal to Bobby Smith. Turns away from Poulin. Takes a whack at him. Does Poulin and centers, but it's knocked away by Hextall. And Bobby Smith once more. 1:20 left power play. 13-10 second period. 2-1 Montreal. Naslund back to Larry Robinson. Feeds it through Poulin to Naslund. Cross ice chance. Bobby Smith pulls the Hextall out around for the second. He scores! Oh, and here it starts.
Oh, they're not finished yet. Not by a long shot. Bobby Smith was hit right across the back by Dave Poulin after the fact when he was on his knees. You know who came to Smith's rescue? The little Viking, Matt Naslund, all 5'7" of them, went right after Poulin. Then Croft gave Naslund a shot, and then Larry Robinson, the big veteran defenseman, asserted himself and swatted Ryan Croft right in the face with his left hand. I'll tell you what happens in situations like this, Mike. It's the biggest test of the result of this before the game for all that happened is a test of togetherness. And Montreal has really shown me something. I don't think there's ever any question about the Flyers sticking together. Their organization is built on togetherness and sticking up for each other in a physical sense on the ice. Well, when you got a guy like Naslund that comes to big Bobby Smith's rescue, and then Larry Robinson steps in there, you know that it's a pretty cohesive team we're looking at. Watch Smith. What great poise. He draws Hextall out. Watch Hextall. He never gets back. Smith goes around and does the tuck. And it was after that that he got rifled right across the back of the shoulder blades and the neck. See if we can pick it up here. There's Poulin going by. Great stuff by Smith, and Poulin just lets him have it right after this.
Bobby Smith gets his 9th power play goal. Naslund and Robinson assisting. Penalties were called, of course, after this. We'll pick up those calls as we get to see this once more.
See if we can see Poulin on it. There was the shot right to the back of the neck. Smith's line there on the right of our screen.
And there is Bobby Smith, who has been a factor in this series as he was an incredible force late in the Quebec series. He seemed to pick up with Brian Walter when Montreal got down 2-0. Budweiser keeps the action going, so you can enjoy this game. The clean, crisp, cold taste of Budweiser. All you do, this Bud's for you.
Mike Keenan's upset again. And he was upset with the officiating in this series this morning, and for the first time all series, he wasn't afraid to let it rip and tell the world. And he wasn't so frustrated in the last game with the calls as he was the non-calls. And I asked him if he thought he could be objective about it, and he said, yes, I really do think I'm objective.
Poulin slashing, Robinson roughing. Those are the calls that took place at the 7-minute mark. Yes, in your conversation with him, he even had it down to numerical, the number of opportunities that he felt were taken away from both teams because of it. So he had done some rather calculated thinking, and there's the high stick of Dave Brown on Chelios. That'll cost Philadelphia again. And it'll be a Montreal power play. They are 1 for 2, and they have a chance to go on another one.
What do you think? What do you think Game 7 would be like?
John Perron. Why should I describe it? You saw it. You know what the indication is. We'll just tell you the score. Canadians 3, Philadelphia 1. You know, Bill, I was about to ask you after the goal was scored and after the altercation whether you thought there'd be any more of this breaking out, especially if the game becomes one-sided. I think we've gotten the answer.
Wow. Check that out. Yeah, I think we've gotten the answer in a big way, and should Montreal hang on, they're up 3-1 here, and they seem to be pulling it away little by little. Should it end up going to 7, we haven't seen the end of it yet. There's a big hatred now between these two teams.
This is a equal strength situation. We told you about the Brown penalty, but Corson got a high-sticking minor too. Centering pass finds only Ilka Sinisalo for Philadelphia. Pulling away from Nyland, up the wing to Scott Mellenby. Mellenby locked with Chelios. Marcia shot. Oh, and Sinisalo scores on the rebound. Hayward, I believe, thought he had it, and it looked to us like he did, and then it's a top 3 for Sinisalo to tuck home. You know, and it's back to 1 goal.
I think Craig Ludwig thought that Hayward had it too. And what a better way to get back in the game than with a broken play. Brad Marsh just lost it towards the net. Boy, what a gimme goal. I tell you, it's going to be a bizarre game. It has been already, starting with the warm-up. Ron Hextall hasn't had a strong game. There's just a terrible broken play on Brian Hayward. I don't know how he didn't control the first one. He tried to make a skate save on a rather routine flip shot by Brad Marsh. And we said when this thing started, once the ball was separated after the warm-up, we said we have no idea what's going to happen, and a lot of concentration has been broken. There's a lot of animosity, a lot of ill feeling. We don't know how Andy Van Helm is going to call it, other than we think he's going to call it real tight, and I think it's going to continue to be like this.
It is Eklund, nicely stripped by Naslund, and the puck to Hextall. Shovels it to Brad McCrimmon. Grudland on him, but the play made to Howe. Howe striding back for Philadelphia. Crosses over for the play by Eklund in front. Save Hayward. Rebound kicked behind by Tocchet. Eklund trying to fight away. Gets it to Tocchet. Looks for Howe. Feeds for Howe off the backhand side of his stick. And it's Swoboda pivoting and rolling, but Tocchet in front, and shanking that one was dropped because of Swoboda's check from behind. And the Canadians clear, and with the scoring of that goal, Philadelphia's attack picking up. It is McCrimmon pulling away from the forechecking of Mike McPhee. McPhee, Robinson, and Bobby Smith, the Montreal goals. Poulin and Sinisalo for Philadelphia. On now comes Brad Marsh. Big drive is off the mark. Tukey moving after it. Bobby Smith cancels him, and Zezel falls but feeds. It is Marsh firing into Hayward. Rebound. Swept right into the Flyers, but up with it now comes McPhee. McPhee's pass up the wing, and Naslund leaned on and taken out by Crossman. Puck worked along by Brad Marsh, and Chelios fires. Closing his skates was Marsh, and Sinisalo back. Moving on, Craig Ludwig has Tocchet up the wing. Feeds for him, but Chelios intercepts. Back comes Montreal. 10:35 to go. Second period, Canadians ahead of the Flyers 3-2. Following up is Chelios, but taking it is Mellanby. Mellanby has Crossman alongside, but it is Crossman who will try to get loose to fire. Crossman in front, a pass, score! Mellanby! Incredible!
There's no rhyme or reason to any of this, Mike.
No.
Broken plays everywhere on the ice. It started in the neutral zone. Somehow Naslund's the only guy back. That's who Crossman faked to his knees, went around. Look at this jam up here at center ice. There's Lemieux and Walter. And who's back? No, it's Swoboda that's back that goes down. Crossman does the fake. Mellanby gets by everybody. Now, wasn't Mellanby the guy that was squeezed between Lemieux and Walter at center ice?
Yeah.
You don't let a guy go once you squeeze him out of the play. Two Montreal guys let him go. Crossman comes in. Hayward makes a pretty good stab at it. You know what? Mellanby never touched that puck with his stick. Went right in off the skate blade.
I will admit, part of what we tried to do is anticipate the way plays are going to unfold. And it's almost like we could do that with a blindfold and be as accurate tonight.
Well, both of these teams pride themselves on their disciplined game. And when you have a warm-up that digresses to a brawl, that's kind of the ultimate breakdown in discipline, wouldn't you think? And it just continued into the game.
On now is Darlene. Pass on the wing, and Derek Smith was watching his check Momesso, so it's Corson driving it around. This hasn't been dull. We hope you're enjoying it. 9:56 to go, second period. Game tied at 3, a 2-on-1. Sinisalo shot, and that grab by Hayward, and he holds on. Robinson fought his way back to get even with Derek Smith at the time of the shot, but it developed a 2-on-1.
Robinson sure did get back. Smith has got some great legs and can really go. And Robinson was actually able to close the gap on him, and Sinisalo saw it. He had to end up shooting.
Mellanby got his fourth goal at 9:40 and only one assist. That's to Doug Crosby, who we thought all along was going to take the shot and just waited and passed.
You just saw Robinson catching Smith. There's Sinisalo's shot. With the big trapper out, Hayward does.
What a psychological drama this has been, really from the beginning, but it has just reached its emotional climax tonight. Remember Jean Perron saying that the Flyers were a mean team, and all through this series and the previous ones, they'd been the lowest team in penalties in the playoffs. We should tell you that our staff has checked with Brian O'Neill, and there is no change in the situation. They've just simply indicated that there will be a hearing. We don't have a date. There will be a hearing, and appropriate penalties will be imposed, but it will not be tonight. Robinson's pass comes along now to Bob Gainey. On to Carbonneau, has Nyland on the wing, but the pass under his stick. Hextall there, guides it back along. Brian Propp chops it green. And it is Propp to take over for Philadelphia. The shots in the game are 16-15 in favor of the Flyers. 4 this period for Montreal and 6 for Philadelphia. It is Green, locked up by Eklund, but Green able to turn. Has Gainey to pass to, shanks it through Tocchet, and is able to follow up to Larry Robinson. Robinson on to Carbonneau. It's a 3-on-3. Carbonneau moving in, wants to go by the defense, and is hit checked down by Brad Marsh. Puck laid back out, and so Chelios will handle. Chelios with 8:40 to go in this middle period. Carbonneau fails on the baseball attempt. Marsh rolls ahead for Mellanby, and Mellanby takes out Chelios. Brown moves in, and Brown's shot is wide. Puck swung away by Chelios. McPhee guides it further. Scrambly sort of period here, but Philadelphia's come from a 3-1 deficit to tie it at 3. Naslund able to feed, but too far for McPhee, and so Crossman goes down. No icing here. Crossman with a pass that's taken by Mellanby. Right on him is Naslund, and so Mellenby must control. Pass over 2 lines to Dave Brown. 8:07 left in the second. It's tied at Montreal, 3-3.
8:07 remains, second period. The Canadiens and the Flyers are tied at 3.
Philadelphia sees the line of Lemieux, Walter, and Bobby Smith against Sinisalo, Poulin, and Derek Smith. Up ice on the right side. Samuelson is tied up trying to go in. Walter blocks it. Flyers get out of the zone to Poulin, back to Marsh as Canadians break that up subtly, and no rhythm for Philadelphia. Finally, Robinson outlets on the left wing. Walter through against Samuelson. He's got Bobby Smith. There's Lemieux for the net. Smith is going to wheel to the right, look for a screen. Straight away to Robinson. Shot! And a marvelous play by Canadians, and they drop it back and a shot on, and Hextall to save with Lemieux there. They did everything that you're supposed to do. Penetrate, pass, feed the trailer, open up the man in front, and then set up a screen. That was textbook, and Hextall erased it all. And they jam it up at the Canadian player bench on the far side at center ice. 7:26 remaining. Well, that was your X's and O's, Mr. Taylor.
Flyers are, yes, but they are allowed to do that. Anytime you have that 4th or 5th guy can move up and get that shot away, somebody's not doing his job out there. And thank goodness Ron Hextall saved that one, because it was a big shot from Larry Robinson, and he got it with the paddle of his stick. But that is what you cannot allow them to do. They've been able to get Robinson up in the play and Chris Chelios up in the play throughout the games that they've won. And the games that they've been very successful in penetrating the Flyers zone has been through that move. And the Flyers have got to counteract that. They've got to make sure that when they're on the ice, they've got to have a guy on Robinson or a guy on Chelios and not allow those players to move up on the play.
Little bypay there as Pullen went off. He said something in passing to Bob Smith, and Smith went up and gave him a little light cross-check. All right, puck dropped into the Canadian zone. Green is bumped behind the net by Tocchet, but Chelios now puts it up the middle of Carbonneau. He stopped at his line by Howe. The puck retrieved and skated back to his own line by McCrimmon. Then given away. Just an awful play. Up the slot, the Flyers take it away. Bobby, I don't know how many times that happens on those unforced giveaways with the Flyers controlling. Now into the zone to the near side. Prop has the stick taken out of his hand, takes a punch at Carbonneau to the point. Shot off the high elbow of the goaltender. We're going to have a Canadian penalty, a hook.
Should be a slash, but it's a hook. It should be a slash. That's what it is. Now the Flyers will get their second power play, Gene, and Carbonneau will be the one who will go to the bench. No, it's Nyland.
Nyland. No, he's going to the player bench.
I don't know. We better wait.
Carbonneau.
Carbonneau, I thought it was a slash as he knocked the puck out of, or pardon me, the stick out of
Prop's hand.
Prop's hand, but Andy Van Helleman's calling it hooking. There's the two-hander as he knocked that stick right out of Prop's hand. Coming at 13:05 of this second period, but it is hooking the call. Maybe it happened prior to that, though, when Eklund was hooked off the puck before that, but the one that was the most glaring in our eyes was the one was slashed by Carbonneau, but it is a hooking. Nonetheless, it's the guy who picks the penalty up, and the Flyers have their second power play.
Penalties are even at 8. They're even at 6 apiece in this period. Carbonneau 18 minutes on the air. Flyers 0 for 1 on the power play, 3 for 12 on the playoffs. Or on the playoff series against Montreal. Tocchet, Prop, Eklund along with Howe and Crossman. Wouldn't it be nice to see number 12 out there? Skrudland with Gainey, Chelios with Green. Eklund's stick is down, and Skrudland's taken forever. Goes off the skate. Tocchet back to the point to Howe. Comes to the near side. Left corner to Crossman, who set up that goal beautifully moments ago for Eklund. The Crossman in the corner. Comes out in front. Stuffer. What a save by Brian Hayward. And the Canadians whip it down and almost drill Wayne Bonney, who has to fall at the Canadian player bench to keep from getting whacked.
I think he got hit a little bit, Gene, because else that puck would have ended up in the Flyer zone.
Prop got into the zone, turned and tried to do a little turn around Gainey. Puck went in a little shallow. Gainey took it away and iced it. But Crossman, who set up the tying goal by Mellenby, came out of the corner there and tested Hayward for the possible lead. Up ice, down that right side, Tukey penetrates. Tim looks, swept off a stick by Ludwig, gets it behind the net. Chelios is cut off. That allows the Flyers Eklund to Crossman. No shot back to Eklund, kicks it behind. Flyers Prop blocked off by Chelios. Goes into the corner to Tukey. Tukey out of that corner. Looks, wanted to shoot, then had a stick held. It goes off to the far side to Eklund to the point to Howe. Howe with a ripper right on, and Hayward grabbed as there was no screen. And then McPhee cross-check Prop in behind, and then the Canadians have somebody else coming in.
Ludwig to drill Prop in the side of the head.
Seems like any time there's something in the middle of the ice or middle of that net, everybody's getting in there very quickly. But those shots at the waist are just wasted shots. I mean, they're so easy for goaltenders to make the save, and Markauer usually doesn't do that. Got it up high. It might have deflected off that forechecker a little bit, Brian Skrudland, but anytime you get that puck from the knee to the armpit, it's an easier save for a goalie, and they just love it when that happens.
3-3 the score with 5:53 remaining second period.
Saturday night, it's a double barrel of Western action with the Duke when John Wayne stars in Big Jake at 6 and Rio Lobo at 8 o'clock, right here on Philly 57.
Tukey with Sinisalo and Prop, Howe and Crossman, and the Canadians have Chelios out with Ludwig, and defensively Skrudland with Gainey, offensive right side. 58 seconds on the penalty to Carbonneau. And again, late second period tied at 3. The Flyers down 1-0 and down 3-1 have come back both times to tie. They have not yet led, but they have a chance now in their power play. Sinisalo straight away to Howe. Looks, screen, and right there was Tukey to try to deflect. It comes out in front and jammed off the goal line by Chelios under Ludwig, and then Ludwig pushes Prop. And they all jam in again, and Tukey is getting pushed at, and he gets up in Chelios' face.
They're really trying to get at Prop and trying to get at Eklund. The Canadians have really been taking runs at them, and I think what they're trying to do is trying to intimidate those two players. Anytime the chance, you can see it because Chelios was getting shoved around by Tim Tukey with his glove in his face. He tried to ignore him and go after Prop, so they're really trying to get after Prop and Pelle Eklund. They think that they can intimidate those two players, but they haven't been able to yet. Prop's been going to that net quite often. There was a cross check by Skrudland right from behind to knock Prop out of the way, and then Ludwig got up there. But one thing it is, if they're going after the Flyers scores, it might be something where the Flyers would keep in the back of their mind to go after their scores.
Tukey, Prop, Sinisalo, Crossman, and Howe with 49 seconds on the power play. Ryan Waller takes the draw out with Chelios, Gainey, and Rick Green. Flyers get the draw back to Crossman. Looks, has no shot, tries to get away. Right side to Howe. Howe back to Crossman. Bounces off the stick. Waller won't challenge to Howe. Into the right circle. Flyers have Sinisalo with a shot right on, and Hayward just did grab it. That left shot from the right circle.
You know, Gene, I have not been impressed with Brian Hayward. He's a guesser. He falls before the shot, and he's hoping that the shot is hitting him. And I think if the Flyers could get any kind of sustained pressure on this man, they could start filling that net behind him. They have not had a great deal of shots. They've only had 19 so far. They're out shooting the Canadians 19-16, but we've seen the Flyers really pour the shots on the opposition. And I think if they really start pounding him, going to the net, and getting some shots on goal, I don't think he's going to withstand the pressure.
Tukey again against Waller. No change out there for either side. Offensive right circle. Tukey gets at the Prop to Howe. Right side to Eklund. Eklund looks. He's got Howe up the middle. No shot. Back to Eklund at the right point. He looks. Back to Howe. Deep left circle, and it gets right through Crossman to behind the net. Tukey plays it loose away from Green to Crossman. Crossman retreats back to the line, is not followed by Green. Into the slot. Oh, Prop was there and fan, but is able to get it back to Eklund along the right board. It rolls on him, takes him into the corner. 11 seconds on the power play. Behind the net. Tukey in front. Blocked away from Prop. Had the skates pulled out from under him by Green. Then the Canadians give it away at the point to Howe. The penalty's about over. One shot left for Eklund. Drive wide, and there was Hayward down, Bobby, and had no idea where the shot was coming from. Puck in the Flyer zone as the penalty was over, and the Canadian Carbonneau replaced by Lemieux. Down goes Crossman as Brown follows up. Chelios up behind the net. Tries to tie him up. Does a nice job, Brown. But they overskate the puck, and Bobby Smith outlets left side to Noslin and through to Lemieux. Off his glove to center ice. Comes with Robinson at the Flyer line. But it rolls loose, and Mars taps it to center ice, and Robinson just possessed. Beautiful move in. He's in. Shot. And Hextall grabbed this one, as Robinson, at his age, has become a dominant offensive factor in this series for Montreal.
A new Bruise Brothers t-shirt featuring Darryl Stanley and Dave Brown is now available. Yep. Robinson made that nice move inside on Shell Samuelson, and defenseman, you can't really get turned sideways as too early. Robinson read it and just went right through the middle on the big Flyer defenseman.
Noslin now with Lemieux and Smith, Svoboda and Robinson. The Flyers have Marsh with Samuelson. Poulin out with Sinisalo and Derek Smith. Defensive right circle face-off Philadelphia. Drop. Smith takes it, looks to center. He had Noslin in front, but Marsh wouldn't let him make that play. They battle for it. It's cleared to Samuelson right out in front. And Hextall was able to shovel it up through, and here comes Sinisalo down that left wing at center. Double team taken off the puck. Robinson around behind the net, picked up in the corner by Svoboda, looks for the outlet to the near side. Robinson with his skate blocks to Lemieux against the forechecking of Sinisalo, and away to Noslin. 4-on-3 at center ice. They give him the blue line, drops off. Lemieux, a shot. And the play is made, and then hand pass to the far corner desperately by Marsh. Into the corner, Svoboda behind the net. Samuelson tries to tie up Lemieux, gets open, then ties him up again. The puck loose to the far side, and it kicks out to Poulin, who hand passes smartly to Sinisalo to get a stoppage of play, as Poulin had lost his stick.
Actually, Brad Marsh had broken his, and Poulin gave it to Marsh so that he didn't have to play without a stick, and I think that's a heads-up play. Svoboda and Ilka Sinisalo having some words, but the thing was, again, it's the trailer. It's that third and fourth man in the zone who's getting the big shots away, and Hextall is making the saves. I know they're from out a ways, but boy, the way these people shoot the puck these days, that's a dangerous play, and that's something you have to make that adjustment. And I'm sure, should the teams go into the intermissions, that's one thing the Flyers coaching staff will address themselves to. 3:37 remains. Flyers and the Canadiens are tied at 3 here in the second period.
Came up at the end of last year and then was sensational in the playoffs, getting the series-winning overtime goal against the Hartford Whalers in the 7th game here, winding up with 10 goals for the Stanley Cup champions. Dahlin right, Momesso left, centered by Shane Corson with Ludwig and Chelios. The Flyers, Brown with Sutter and Mellenby, who has one of the 3 Flyer goals. Sinisalo and Poulin the other 2. And the Flyer defense has McCrimmon with Howe. They talk about in the right corner. How about use of people tonight?
They've used a lot. I think you have to, Gene. It looks like it's awfully hot out there.
Well, it was 80 degrees and the air conditioning works, but not enough for 17,000 and a half and all that went on. Flyers outlet. It goes all the way over the Canadian goal line. Play will be made by Hayward up on the far side. Corson can't get past Ron Sutter. Then Mellenby is drilled, but the Flyers put it in the corner. Sutter knocks down with a glove into the slot to Brown, swept away by Corson, takes it behind the net, and then drops it off for Chelios. Back the other way, and Corson will be challenged by Mellenby. And then a bad pass to the far side up for grabs. Brown in the corner, in front. Mellenby had it taken away nicely by Corson as Mellenby was screened off by Chelios. Up ice, the Canadians. Cow against Corson, who rolls it in. Hextall out to his left, looks up off the glass near side. Chelios keeps it in, shot, knocked down in front, and then fed wide. Hextall falls, sweeps it to the near side, and again the Flyers hand the puck over. The Flyers try to tie it up along their defensive left side and do with 2:46 remaining in the second period. Smith got the Canadians a 3-1 lead on a power play at 7 minutes.
Now we have a fight, Gene. We have Mellenby with Sergio Momesso. And they fall into the ice, and quickly the linesmen are in there, but the Flyers are in excellent condition, and it'll really show once this third period goes, because both teams are getting tired out there. They've been hammering each other physically throughout the 2 periods, as well as with their fists. So Mellenby will go to this dressing room for the Flyers, and Sergio Momesso of the Canadiens go to his dressing room. These penalties will come at 17-14 here in this second period.
Obviously for more than 2 minutes.
Started in front as the Flyers were trying to get that puck, and Hextall just cleared it. And the penalty occurred after the whistle was blown, and we didn't really see what started it, but nonetheless, each of the players will pick up 5 minutes for fighting.
Mellenby 42 minutes on the year. Momesso 31. The penalties in the game at even at 8. First majors of the night, although we did have misconduct in the first period. Momesso picked up that 10-minute along with Crossman.
Happened right after. Actually, it was must have happened somewhere else, as Mellenby went right over to Momesso and had something to say to him, and they dropped their gloves and decided to do all their talking with their fists.
Carbonneau, Gainey, Nyland, Green, and Robinson.
Is that what you call arguing in Braille?
That would be a touchy subject.
Oh.
No? All right, the draw. Nyland chases Marsh to the near side. Taken away by Noslin in front. And again, the Flyers had possession. The Canadians turned it into a high percentage scoring opportunity. From the corner with the screen, and then as Green is challenged at center ice by Poulin, has his pass deflected into the Flyer player bench.
Those face-offs, you can't emphasize them enough. You sound like a broken record, but boy, do they ever initiate a lot. Nyland was right in the crease again to deflect the goal. If you remember, the Canadians scored a goal in Philadelphia with him standing in the crease. So you talk about that crease, and if it's supposed to be called or if it's supposed to help out goaltenders, it hasn't yet. And Nyland going right to the net like you're supposed to, and if you don't get called, go to the net. More power to you.
And it's not whether you interfere or whether they score. As soon as you're in that crease under the rule instituted 2 years ago, it's an automatic interference call.
I think, I think you can skate through it, but I don't think you can stand up in it.
The word on the board is bruit, B-R-U-I-T French. It means noise, and they try to respond. McCrimmon in the zone, chops it but not out. That's a careless play, and maybe fatigued. Ludwig at the point through a screen. Rebound in front. Rolled in on Hextall, and he eats it up. And maybe the Flyers are showing signs, Bobby, of weariness, because the plays that are making are tired plays.
What's happening now is that Hextall's getting upset with all those little chops, those little bumps, those little attempts to kick the feet out from under him constantly after the play is gone. And I think he's starting to get upset as he gave Carbonneau a shot. And I think Van Hellemond is calling a penalty here. I think he's going to hand out a penalty to Carbonneau as well as to Hextall. Carbonneau's getting one for slashing, and Hextall, I believe, is picking one up for high sticking. But I know that what's happened, actually it was Carbonneau who slashed at Hextall first after he'd caught the puck. And then Hextall gave him a shot back. But I think that they're going to have to start calling that more often now. Goaltenders in this series and every series are so open. And then there's Carbonneau the first time to slash at Hextall. And it'll be a player who's on the ice at the time. But the referee's got to be able to protect that goaltender, and they have not done it so far. Slashing is the call to both players. For slashing, Carbonneau the Canadians, Hextall the Flyers. It comes at 17:44 seconds.
Well, the penalties are now even at 9. Carbonneau, with his second of the period, has 20 minutes on the air. Hextall, a total of 24. Coincidental minors, they'll skate at full strength. But it's worth keeping your eyes on Philadelphia now.
Rick Tocchet is serving the minor to Hextall.
Though they've outscored the Canadians in the last period, Bobby, compositely they've been outshot third period 52-34. Remember, this is a very big team, and it was always the concern anybody who plays this club can wear you down in the long series. They go right side. Chelios looks, shot through a screen. Hextall to save. The Canadians get it up. There's Gainey in front. Oh, short side through the screen of Nyland, and Hextall with a dazzling grab.
Ooh. He has had to be so sharp here, and the Flyers have got to get somebody in there to control those face-offs. It's getting to the point now, Gene, where I dress a guy just to handle face-offs. They haven't been able to win them. Hextall made 2 big saves, and again, the Canadians using those points extremely well. Gainey just ripped that shot, but Hextall right there to make the glove save. And what's happened now, when you're losing those face-offs, the players are starting to hang down low still, and they're not getting out to the points where they're supposed to get to once the play is made. Everybody has an assignment on a face-off. There's a man that you're supposed to pick up. Now, the wingers have got to get to the point to get the defenseman. The 2 defensemen have men in the slot, and the centerman keeps the centerman, or the man who keeps that wins that draw. If you don't get out there, if you don't get out to your men quickly enough, then that's what happens in the shot on goal and the scoring attempt.
Latter stages of this period, Canadians have outshot the Flyers 7-1, 23-19 total. Now to the near side. Poulin can't get it out. Chelios from the point. Saved through Hextall. And then there's a play that Sutter goes down to his knees to Howe, and up on the left wing at center ice. Sinisalo, right wing pass, had Poulin onside. It skipped over his stick as he'd a half a step on Chelios. Now Ron Sutter behind the Montreal goal. In front, beautiful stick check, and then how high off the crossbar short side as he had the Flyers with a chance at a lead as Hayward was down. That close. Puck at center ice. And again, the Flyers almost beat the goaltender, was guessing. Chelios through at the line. He's got a man coming with him, Noslin. There he is. He's in. Shot, and it was swept away in front by McCrimmon. There's Noslin coming out in front again. Turns, loses the puck, and the Flyers come up the center as Noslin down over the line. Derek Smith pushed off, gets up to Sinisalo. He's bumped and taken off. As Svoboda got back along with Chelios to check off two Philadelphians breaking down the left wing. With 1:05 remaining in the period, tied at 3. Marsh at the point. Shot directed on toward the net slowly by Sinisalo. And the Flyers then see it come to the blue line and kept in onside. Sent around behind Hayward, and Chelios up in his left side. Tries to get it out, and it skips through Noslin. Brown picks it up in the neutral zone. Waits too long. Sprudlin poke checked it away, but back onto the stick of Crossman. Up ice to Eklund. Swings to his right past Ryan Waller. Tries to go in, but Robinson came off the bench along with Smith to break the play up. Eklund at center ice. Cross ice pass to Marsh. Shot past Hayward to Brown. He overskates, and out comes the Canadians as Brown gets caught. Lemieux up the middle, trailed by Bobby Smith. Lemieux into the corner, out through the goal mouth, trying to find Waller for one of those up the middle deflections. And it just failed to click, and Brown gets it up through at Crossman. Crossman coming through over the line and dragged the puck a little bit carelessly, and here comes Montreal. Lemieux down that line against Marsh. Boom! Marsh takes him out of the play, but Bobby Smith in the corner is checked off, and Marsh then wheels it up on the near side, and the Flyers with 5 seconds left in the period look to shoot it in on Hayward and do on a perfunctory roll-on as we come to the end of the second period. And though the Flyers got a pair of quickies to tie it, the Canadians were coming on like to tie it at the end of the period. Bobby Smith is 9th from Robinson and Noslin at 7 minutes on the power play. 49 seconds later, Sinisalo rebounded a post shot by Mellanby with Sutter the second assist for Ilkes' 5th.
3-3. This has been an additional segment to our usual Road to the Cup Coca-Cola scoreboard, but we felt that was very important to bring you the interview. Back with more in just a moment as the Road to the Cup continues. Stay with us.
Third period underway. Brad McCrimmon sails the puck in, and Chelios to get it. The series is Philadelphia 3, Montreal 2. The game was Montreal 3, Philadelphia 1, but it's tied now. 3-3 as we go into the third period of action with the falling McPhee giving to Naslin, but that handed over to McCrimmon and back to Dave Brown. Brown fans can't play, but there to get it is Ron Sutter. Steers it back in, then took the hit from McPhee. You pay with a price. That was the way that it was in game 1, and it's been that way ever since, but never with more a vengeance than tonight. Corson drops to Naslin, looks for McPhee, can't get him, and Mark Howe starts back for Philadelphia. Howe has Brown with him, but the pass cut off by Naslin. Play made back on to Corson. Corson trying to yank it through Howe. Corson trying again, and this time flips it out of play at the Montreal bench. And again, standing around enjoying after the whistle. You're probably noticing the fans going right behind the bench. Yes, you can get elbow to elbow with the coach. Just the nature of the respectful, but also very emotional Montreal forum.
Boy, emotional. What a word to describe this game tonight from start to right now. And, you know, to use your stick on the ice to try and check and to try and break up plays is one thing, but it's been real apparent to me that there have been guys on both teams tonight that have been trying to hurt one another with their stick. That's how bad these feelings are how deep they're running right now. And let's face it, that is the big equalizer. It's what makes Mats Naslund as bad a man out there as a Brad Marsh or as a Dave Brown, the stick, the weapon.
Nyland trickled one through, and Brad Marsh threw it away into the seats. You know, and we can't begin to show you those because most of those plays are occurring away from the puck, and really our cameras are destined to follow the play rather than away from the puck.
There's one of the men that was involved right at the outset in the warm-up. It was Glenn Resch and Ed Hospodar who were on the ice, and Claude Lemieux and James Corson from Montreal Canadiens. They were the last pairs to leave the ice for their respective teams. And then Lemieux snuck back on the ice with Corson to shoot a puck into the empty net. Hospodar came back on with Resch. They started in a mini brawl. Hospodar threw his gloves down. The way they went.
Robinson a shot. Save. Hextall. Puck loose. Cleared by Brad Marsh. Oh, if a Canadian would have reached it first, the score would have been tied. It is Svoboda for Montreal, then on to Gainey. Boxing from Atlantic City will be following immediately after this game that is tied 3-3 in the third period. Marsh chops, but into Nyland. Marsh with a second effort now. Nudges it along to Tocchet. Bounces one for Prop, but it's cut off by Gainey. Robinson controlling. Feeds back out to Carbonneau. Dumps it along, and Walter moves in. Has Nyland there as well, and Walter wrapped up and carried off by Tocchet. Two aside with the battle, and the puck squirts to the fifth man, Bobby Smith. Kicked back out by Tocchet. Here is Poulin moving up the wing. Svoboda to defend. Poulin a shot, and that's flexed away by Hayward. Prop turnarounder, and that flipped loose. Going to get it is Poulin. Rammed to the boards by Bobby Smith. Puck played by Svoboda, who was stick checked by Prop. It's handled by Robinson, and along now to Bobby Smith. On his wing, he's got Lemieux. Controls away from Howe. Centers one that's cleared away by Hextall. Dave Brown tries to clear. Second effort gets it out. Deflected by Derek Smith to Zezel. Drive, and that rolled off the stick of Chelios. Sent away by Hayward. Chelios hacks it back along to Lemieux. Stood up by the checking of Dave Brown. Puck flips away from Howe and is sent right back along for Derek Smith. Green to play. We'll remind you again, boxing from Atlantic City will follow our telecast of the Flyers in Montreal tonight. We'll check that. It is boxing from Las Vegas. That is our program. Boxing from Las Vegas after the game. McCrimmon forced deeper by Skrudland. 17 minutes to go in the third. The score is 3-3. Play made over now to Tukey. Tukey checked by Skrudland, but gets loose. Moves on Chelios. Play to Derek Smith, and the shot hit off Hayward, and then the side of the goal. Skrudland flips. It's taken by Chelios. Advanced along to Naslund. Watched by Marsh. Naslund feeds in front. Save Hextall. Rebound. And the puck, amazingly, is underneath the fallen goalkeeper.
You know, he might have been the only one in this building that knew exactly where that puck was.
16:33 to go in the third. Game tied at 3.
ESPN's Road to the Cup, brought to you by the crisp, clean, imported taste of Labatt's Blue. It's Blue Heaven. And by Casio, makers of the shock-resistant, water-resistant G-Shock. It's one tough watch to beat. All right, back to the Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens and the Flyers tied at 3.
Every face-off of Bigwood. And I have to wonder if Dave Poulin's ribs aren't bothering him a bit. This is Tukey against Smith. Poulin's on the ice, but he doesn't seem to be taking the draws in the second half of the game, Mike.
It is from the draw that Bobby Smith has it. Centers one. Oh, and the shot was a good one, but across the goal, mouth wide by Momesso. Ludwig can't get it in front. Momesso centers, angled off the back of the net. Momesso digs it out again. Looks to the front, has Robinson breaking, checked by Tukey. Loose puck in front, they poke away at it. Momesso can't get it home. Another try off the pad of Hextall. Here's Ludwig at drive, deflected, high into the air. Behind the net, Bobby Smith checked off his stick by Tukey, wrapped by Marsh, pinching his Ludwig. Gibbs behind for Bobby Smith, but it rolled off him to Sinisalo. And it is clear.
Sure.
Incredible fury around the net.
Sure, and a great play just to get it down there and get some breathing room. They were all over them. At one point, there were at least 4 Philadelphia Flyers lying all over the ice, maybe 5 including Hextall. It was just a sea of orange and black and white in front of the goal, and not one of the Canadians could get a handle on it. Here's Momesso coming out, tries for Robinson. This is where bodies start flying. Check this out. Is everybody on the ice not there? That's wild. And the sticks continue to fly. Dave Poulin just banked one, the shaft of a stick right off Momesso's helmet. And I talked about players trying to hurt one another out there, Mike. It's usually done from the waist down. The easiest place to hurt somebody other than the face. Guys just don't blade and they go for the face. It's the ankles, the feet.
Svoboda's shot deflected off. And it is Prop. Checked by Bob Gainey. Nyland turnarounder is off Ron Sutter. Montreal has done everything but put it in. And we get a stoppage of play as perhaps the net was off a magnet. Ron Hextall staring behind. And yes, Wayne Bonning has juggled the net to get it right back correctly on the magnet. Canadiens have to be wondering what they need to do. There was one off Hextall's stick, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Carbonneau got just a piece of it and redirected it about 8 inches towards net, and you hardly have to touch it when it's coming at that speed. Carbonneau just had a feathery touch, and he just nicked it. Gosh, I wonder how, if there is a 7th game, I wonder how everyone is going to sleep. I got to tell you, there will be guys that will be afraid to go back into Philadelphia. The Montreal team, and fear is a normal thing. This is a very violent sport and very aggressive, and I'm not just trying to say that in a derogatory sense if somebody doesn't have any courage. It's a violent game, and if there is a game 7, you know it's going to be violent too.
Gainey ridden off by McCrimmon. Nyland behind. Checked away from him by Howe. Gainey pokes it away from Nyland. McCrimmon started after it, but Nyland pulled his way by. It is Brian Propp just clearing back out. And the fear is one emotion, anger is another, and you have to think that if Philadelphia wins tonight, there might not be much in the way of handshaking at the end. Here is Nyland moving in. Centers one, but that's taken by Eklund. It's a 2-on-3 developing as Eklund is accompanied by Tocchet. Eklund controls and sends one into the glove of Hayward. Shots are 22 Philadelphia, 29 Montreal. Game tied at 3. Chelios ducked out of the way of that one that careens back for Crossman. 14:40 to go in the 3rd period. It is Dave Brown angling one that Hayward reads, then turns and saw Green too tightly covered, so it's wrapped along to McPhee, shoved by Brown, and the puck cleared out by Ludwig. Brad Marsh pivots with it there. Hands over to Crossman. Drops one too far for Brown, so it is Ludwig once more. Ludwig spins. Sutter can't reach. Play made by Mike McPhee. Checked by Sutter, and Sutter follows up on Skrudland. Nice work by Ron Sutter to free it for his team. Back along comes Scott Mellanby. Watched by Green. Mellanby and Green move in, and Dave Brown right along as well. Skrudland locks up with him. Back goes Mellanby. Good hard work by both teams in this game. Fierce competition tonight as down away from the play is Green, and back on now comes Mats Naslund. Working on Marsh. Naslund turns behind the net. Wheels and takes a look in front. Gives off to McPhee. Shot tipped wide. Skrudland goes after it, wrapped up by Mellanby. Still, they battle along the boards, and Skrudland, shoved by Mellanby, gets it to McPhee. Wants to shoot. Naslund directs it wide. Falling to Skrudland, and the fans react. Sutter unwinds from center ice, and Hayward sweeps it for Green. Furious action in this contest tonight. It was 2-1 Montreal after 1. The Flyers tied it in period 2. It is scoreless in the 3rd as Howe flips one up the wing for Sinisalo. Moves in with Dave Poulin. Sinisalo's shot blocked by Hayward. Poulin dumps it behind. Larry Robinson there to handle for the defense. Sails it by McCrimmon. There'll be an icing ball here if the Flyers arrive first. Lemieux and McCrimmon after it, and McCrimmon got there in time. Clock stopped. 12:55 to go in the 3rd. Canadiens 3, Flyers 3. Face-off will result. We're talking about all the emotion that has been at the fore in tonight's game, and if there's a 7th, would carry through.
Well, that's for sure. And we talked about fear and players being afraid, and you know, courage to me is just the way you overcome fear. And I know that we're talking about 2 proud organizations here. Another look at Canada's Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, and that all the players will find a way to overcome whatever fears they have or apprehensions about another. You have to psych up for it. You have to psych up to try and squash any feelings that you have about not going and competing 100%, and both these teams will be able to do that.
Drop to Tocchet, he scores! A 2-on-1 from the face-off that was moved to center ice on a ruling that the stoppage of play was caused by a linesman error. And right in they marched for the tie-breaking goal.
Boy, what a crushing goal this has to be on Montreal. Chelios, what does he do? He tries to make a play and has it plucked away. Tocchet to Propp. And, you know, Hayward's playing the shot there. That's the rule. Goaltender plays the shot. Defenseman plays the pass. But Propp was able to thread it through. And Tocchet had nothing more to do than just to steer it home. And maybe we're talking about a Game 7 for nothing, Mike. Watch Chelios come up. I'm not sure what he's trying to do here, but he takes a split second too long and a real fast spot on the ice to take too long. Got to think that Larry Robinson assumed Propp was going to take the shot. He went to try and slash him and stop him from shooting. Just when Propp passed it over to Tocchet, what a nice feed and a great goal by the Flyers. Now, the onus is on the defending champions here, Mike. With 12 minutes and 42 seconds to go. They're down by 1.
Momesso flips, can't get Chelios. Instead, it's Crossman. Puck laid along, and Robinson can't charge because Brown was there. Sent too far for Ron Sutter, who pulls away from Lemieux. Sutter behind, tried to center but couldn't. Puck held to the side of the net, then it squirted away. And this will be an icing call as Doug Crossman goes back to touch up. 12:18 left in the third period. Our score from the Forum in Montreal. Flyers 4, Montreal Canadiens 3. Philadelphia has outscored Montreal in this series 10-5. And they have outscored them in the third period of 4 of the 5 games in this series. The exception was game 5. Puck played by Smith. Rolled along to Swoboda. Swoboda tries for Bob Gainey. Forced back by McCrimmon. Every move by attacker and by defenseman can become so important. This is a one-goal game, and in which checking has been so tight in most of the games of this series. Perhaps sometime it may be a lot of names that we're throwing out, but it is because their contributions are so important. We try to time them right to the time that they have something to do. And this is Swoboda along to Bob Gainey. Gives it up to McCrimmon. Puck tipped loose off Nyland, followed up by Swoboda. Away from Brian Propp. And this is Green that has to give chase, and the Canadiens fans turning a little bit here. Green wrapping it around to Carbonneau. Carbonneau forced by Brian Propp. Puck out now to Nyland. Pass off the skates of Tocchet. Swoboda ahead, and Carbonneau starts by Mark Howe, but then loses to Eklund, who just drops it back onto Brian Propp. This is a 2-on-1. Propp and Tocchet with Ludwig back. Brian Propp moving right in. Couldn't get the backhander away because of Ludwig. Robinson starts back for Montreal. 11-12 to go first period. 4-3 Flyers. Robinson's drive is held by Hextall, then put into play. Hextall drops it to Crossman behind the Philadelphia goal. The forechecker is Skrudland. Play made for Sinisalo. Run into by Naslund, but Eklund there. Then to Crossman. Crossman has to pivot because of Skrudland's checking. Puck played ahead now to Sinisalo. Drives it back in. It is swung back away by Hayward. Robinson hit hard on the play by Sinisalo. Puck to Zezel off his stick. Crossman follows. Shovels one in front. Sent away by Hayward. Skrudland for Montreal to Naslund. Canadiens having trouble getting out. It's Marsh firing one. Tipped in front. Fed away by Craig Ludwig at the side. And it's Skrudland banking out to Naslund. 10:25 to go third period. Robinson moving ahead for the Canadiens. Back to Skrudland. Misses for Robinson. And Crossman takes over because Robinson unable to get there. Brad Marsh had him sealed off. Zezel starts back. Moves along with Poulin. Tries for the return pass, but that one is going to be Skrudland's play. Brian Skrudland tipping to Robinson. Halfway point of the third period as he outlets to Skrudland. Nice check by Mellanby, frees it. And Naslund tries to recover, but is wedged off by Brown. McCrimmon marches back on now to Ron Sutter. Drop pass to Brown. Brown shot, juggled, and then poked away by Hayward. Behind with it is Sutter. Checked by Bobby Smith. Puck played by Swoboda, but McCrimmon stepped in the way of Ryan Walter. It's Bobby Smith once more, right in front of his own goal. Now back up with it. Takes a spot from Brown. Smith has Walter. Crosses and gives. Shot! Deflected out of play by Mark Howe. 9:33 to go in the third, and the score remains 4-3 Philadelphia. Upper right is the vital pulse speed for Montreal. They trail by 1. Flashes up the word D-U-R-U-I-T, the French for noise. Puck kicks back now to Nasca, or rather to Chelios. Flips on the wing, tried to get it to Momesso, but the Flyers clear. Chelios and Green, the defense. Up front for Montreal, Momesso on the left wing. Corson is the center, and across on the right wing is Mats Naslund. For checking are Brian Propp and Eklund. The other winger is Tocchet. The defense, Marsh and Crossman. And Marsh gives chase. This will be an icing call as he touches up. So back it'll come near Hayward with 9:03 to go in the third. And on Tocchet's goal, Philadelphia leads 4-3.
Series has been Brad Marsh. They wrote him off in Calgary 4 years ago. Said he couldn't play. He was a plow horse. Couldn't skate. Just couldn't do anything. But he has been such a great player for Philadelphia in these playoffs. He has become quicker. He's in great condition, and you can't ask a guy to do more for a team than Brad Marsh. He is one of the biggest hearts out there, and he'll give it to you right up to the end where he can't even move anymore.
Zezel, Sinisalo, Derek Smith. The Flyers try to keep it in. Howe knocks it down at the blue line, and all of that is whistled offside. Again, the referee, Andy Van Hellemond, Wayne Bonney, and Bob Hodges, the linesman. 8:54 remaining 4-3 Philadelphia. Poulin shorthanded. Sinisalo, Mellanby and Tocchet for the Flyers. McPhee, Robinson, and Bobby Smith the last on the power play for Montreal.
Their rookie, Shane Corson, out there. He has been a powerhouse on draws tonight.
Watch this one against Poulin. Flyers win that one and a half. Slings it around behind Hayward. On the near side, Momesso tries to tie up Sinisalo. He pinches in along the right wing board. Keeps it in. The Canadians try to shovel it out. Flyers keep it in. Sinisalo down in the offensive right corner. There's a return by Derek Smith. He's tied up behind the Montreal net. Green is there, gives it away. Flyers looking to send it in front. Then Derek Smith doesn't want to send it in front. Sinisalo takes a punch in the back of the head from Corson. Now Sinisalo in that corner as Corson comes out to make the play. And up the middle of the ice, flying, comes Montreal's Chelios. At the Flyer line, up the middle now, Noslin penetrates. Swings to the right against Howe. Picks up the defense into the near circle of pass. Dug out by the Flyers. Oh, the Flyers have a man without a stick. And it's cleared out of the zone. That was Sinisalo. And now he goes to the bench as Derek Smith at the red line drives it in. Boy, so many things that you see now where you hold your breath. Lost sticks. There was the stick of Sinisalo, and the puck was hit on an outlet from the Montreal zone by the Canadians, and the Flyers jab it in. Bob Hodges almost got hit in the rump, and now on those boards he picks up the stick, flips it into the penalty box, so that's hazard is out of the way. 7:45 remaining in the period, and the Canadians are quiet. Smith penetrates, but so dangerous. Gets the line. Now looks to center. It goes behind the net. Flyers are lax getting the puck coverage. Now Ron Sutter does. Oh, he throws it off the side of the net. Comes out of trouble. Works it up and doesn't get it out. Down goes Deline. Remember this play. The Flyers had 3 clear-cut possessions. Now Crossman out of his right corner. Jams it into center ice. There's a steal at center by Mellanby. On a bad pass. Up the middle to Ron Sutter. He's in. Shot. Oh, and Hayward made the coverage. Mellanby tries to put it in front. As Hayward out of position. Now it comes in front and shot wide of the net. And the Flyers get a man back. It's up on the near wing. It's fed cross ice to Deline. He's an offensive thrill. There he goes to the near side. Looks for the play in front to the offensive corner to McPhee, who got the game's first goal at 59 seconds. There's a play to Deline. The hack behind the net. Knocked down is McPhee. The Flyers chasing Deline. Nobody's going to take him off the puck. Then it's knocked down behind, swept up on the far side, and drilled out by Philadelphia's Brian Propp. Propp out along with Eklund. And now Howe comes on with McCrimmon, Tocchet the other line mate. 6:34 remaining. Steal by Eklund. Shot. Rebound. Oh, and the Canadians covered beautifully. There's Tocchet in front, and he hits Hayward with a shot. Canadians give it away, and Howe puts it to the side of the net. Oh, the Flyers almost had a little insurance there. As the Canadians covered up, so I don't know who made the save away from Hayward, but it was a game saver. 6:13 remaining in the period. Howe takes it away. There's a play into the corner, knocked down and gloved by Svoboda, held it in his hands for 3 seconds. There's a shot from the blue line, high up into the end seats off McPhee's stick, deflected by McCrimmon. 6:01 remaining, third period, 4-3 Philadelphia.
Flyers almost had that 2-goal cushion, as if they just really kept that puck on. Big save, and then Tocchet shot, and I'm not sure, I think it hit the goalpost. Hayward just didn't get back in time, but it appeared it either hit the goalpost or that skate or of the defenseman that was coming back. But boy, the Flyers had a great chance to give themselves a 2-goal cushion with only 6:01 remaining.
I don't know if that's a bottle on the ice, but there's a lot of red pieces in between the Flyers' defensive circles, and we'll get a stoppage.
This, I think, helps out the Canadians, especially with their 2 defensemen, Robinson and Chelios. They've been lugging a ton of ice time, Gene. And with this stoppage now, that'll give them a little breather. Also, it takes the place of that 30-second timeout.
Here we have 6:01 remaining in regulation. Flyers 4, Montreal 3.
Beginning Monday on Philly 57's 8 o'clock movie, it's going to be one hell of a week with an all-star lineup of horror classics. So get ready for the best in terror here on Philly 57.
We have 6:01 remaining. That far away from the finals for Philadelphia. They lead at 4-3.
See something thrown on the ice. The 2 goaltenders. Ryan Hayward on the left, Ron Hextall on the right. And
question is, Bobby, to whose advantage is this delay?
I think it's to the Canadians' advantage, Gene. You got your 2 defensemen who have carried a ton of ice time in Chelios and Robinson. Now you give them a little extra breather. But now The two men who are really on the spot are the goaltenders. 6:01 remains. Flyers up by 1, 4-3.
I think not only the rest, but the fact that the Flyers have been carrying play over the last few minutes.
Well, they've been shutting them down. They've been right on the top of their defensive game at this point, and that's a factor.
All right, Carbonne's out with Lemieux and Walter, and back with Ludwig and Chelios. You will see Chelios or Robinson out there each shift. The shots now are 30-30, Bobby. In the game, penalties are 9-9.
10-6 Philadelphia in this third period.
That's a significant number after the Canadians jumped out early. I think I mentioned at one time it was 3-1 Canadians. So the Flyers have had 9 of the last 12 shots. But they have 6 minutes of great defensive hockey to play, and they get it out of the zone. Howe through at center, but Ryan Walter pulls it off. We're in the final 6 minutes of regulation. Philadelphia leading 4-3. Puck tied up at center ice, jammed in, racing in after it. Carbonneau picks it up. He's got Lemieux in front, but puts it behind. Lemieux wants to go back the other way. He's grabbed. Philadelphia trying to kick the puck free, and out of that melee comes Howe out of his own left side. Storms up and works the puck into center ice, gets past the stick check of Lemieux. Now has Prop with him, drives it off the glass into the right wing corner, bounces to Hayward, grabs, drops behind, and then almost lost it as forechecking was Philadelphia. There's a far side play. Tocchet blocks it off in the Montreal zone. He's checked by Carbonneau. Carbonneau takes it away, loses it to Eklund. They battle in the corner, and finally it's Sprung-Fee, and out come the Canadians at center ice. Howe almost took it away from Lemieux, who sends it down, but kicked off the glass and came toward the open side of the net. Hextall went behind, and then it comes up the center, and Tocchet takes it offside. Had it been touched first by Prop, who tried to steer it out of the zone, we would have had a legal play Philadelphia. Now they're forced to take the draw deep in their own zone, and those are those face-offs about which Bobby spoke, with 5:06 remaining in regulation. 4-3 Philadelphia.
I would think Rick Tocchet would love to play a whole season up here in Montreal. He's really been a thorn in the Canadian side as far as goals and assists are concerned. But the Flyers look like they're confident. Canadians look a little depressed right at this time. They don't look like they're concerned, obviously. And Jean Perron is going to a two-line system with 4 defensemen.
To Montreal, it looks so little time, and to us, it looks like 3 days. 5:06.
It's always the way.
Marsh and Crossman, Brown out with Poulin and Ron Sutter. And notice every face-off that's taken down. Count who wins them. Smith, Deline, Noslin, along with Svoboda and Robinson. They have their 3 Europeans out there who are dazzling with the puck. 2 good shooters at the point, and Smith, who's so strong. Sutter and Smith, and now let's see who's out. Smith and Sutter out, so the Flyers will put Poulin in there now with Noslin. And you see the focus point of having 2 centermen out there when you're taking the defensive draw. Now Poulin goes over to talk, and Bonnie says enough of this delay nonsense. 5:06 remaining in regulation. 4-3 Philadelphia. Bonnie between Noslin and Poulin. Goes back to the point. The Canadians keep that. Shot cut off. Poulin fights beautifully off Noslin. Gets it to Brown and through to Sutter at center ice. Broken up by Montreal. Taken into the zone. There goes Noslin. Swinging to the near side. Rolls it to the net. And he had a man there, Smith. There's a roll the other side. Smith to the point. Shot. And no deflection. And the Flyers jam it off the stick of Svoboda. And he knocked it down with a high stick. And when it dropped at his feet and he touched it, face off the center. 4:42 remaining in regulation.
Boy, you just can't make sure. You got to get it off those boards hard. What you can do, especially here at the Forum, but then the Canadians had that shot, it was deflected. But what you can do on the boards and here at the Forum, Gene, is that when you shoot it hard off the boards, it's not going to go angled very sharply down towards the other end. It almost comes right back out into the center ice area. So it's very difficult to ice the puck. And, of course, you got to take that chance because how many icings do the linesmen call? You never know when they're going to call it.
Puck in their zone. Shut out by Philadelphia at center ice. Svoboda off to Robinson. Still at his line up ice. Kicked and broken away by Eklund. Down that left wing side. Shot from the top of the left circle off Robinson's stick into the end seats with 4:30 remaining in regulation. 4-3 Philadelphia.
There are times during the game, and especially at this time of the game, where you think the timekeeper does not start that clock. Seems like it's stuck on a certain time there all the time when you look up. But that's not the case. Larry Robinson, who has just played outstanding in the last 2 games, 3 games really. He was burned here, game number 4 for 5 goals. He's on for 5 of the Flyers' 6 goals. but he's more than made up for that in the game in Philadelphia and again here tonight.
With Sutter out, along with Brown and Mellenby, Perron made the change to bring on Corson, Momesso, and McPhee with Robinson and Swoboda. McCrimmon and Howe, Philadelphia. Now McCrimmon doing a little field generalship. Face off 10 feet inside the Flyer offensive line along their left wing. Corson and Ron Sutter. The margin of difference at 7-11 this period. Pocket from Prop. There's an outlet. Swoboda at center ice. Had McCrimmon turned partially, but Brad was able to recover, break up the play, and the Canadians will have to start from their own zone. McPhee down that right wing side. Comes up the middle, gets past two checks, can't get past the third. The Canadians have to work at center again and try to recoup forces. Up the middle, Corson, a nice tap. They go the other way, but not reading it was Corson, and then Howe jammed it off his body to send it up ice. Caroms into the Canadian player bench. 4 minutes, 2 seconds remaining in regulation. 4-3 Philadelphia. White knuckle time, Bobby.
Ooh, is it ever.
Eklund against Smith, who's on with Nosland and Lemieux. Smith at center. Chelios a rip in. The Canadians chase, but Crossman on the near side is able to take it in flight. Almost had Prop through, and it sends all the way down the ice to Hayward. Steers it away from the forechecking of Prop to Green. Green spins nicely away from an effort to check by Eklund as we're down to 3:40 remaining in regulation. 4-3 Philadelphia. Canadians tied up behind their own net. Green trying to come out. Outlets to the near side. Noslin a little tuckle pass through at center ice, and here comes Smith into the zone. Tries to penetrate. He's spun around. Puck dug out. Sent behind the net to the far side. Chelios looks to center off the side of the net. Lemieux took a poke. He's buried. It's sent away. They shoot. And Hextall with a marvelous save against Bobby Smith.
Boy, did he ever make a save. Hold me. Down and stacking those pads, and they just couldn't get it up. And it's so strong for a Flyer, or for a goaltender rather, to be able to stack those pads quickly, especially when it's down low like that. Players cannot get the time and do not have the patience when you're in that close, especially in this situation, to stop the puck and lift it over. And Hextall got those pads stacked quickly, and of course if you're 6'3", that covers that goal completely. Big save, and of course there is a face-off, but the Flyers are starting to really bear down even more there, and they've been tying up those players better in these final 5-6 minutes than they have over the course of the game.
Bullinson is Salo with Ron Sutter, McCrimmon and Howe. Carbonneau out for the Canadians with Dahlin right, Walter left, Swoboda at the left point, Robinson at the right. Offensive right circle. Ron Sutter's key here. Fake draw with Carbonneau, and everybody circles, and we'll try again. 3:18 remaining in regulation. Ryan Walter trying to point. Canadians want to get back to Robinson. And Sutter doesn't want it to get there, doesn't it? Drops to the feet, and this time McCrimmon takes it up along the left. Through, but not out. Robinson blocks it. There goes Ron Sutter trying to jab it out. It goes to the blue line, sent in behind the Philadelphia net. Howe is there to the near side. Looks, wings it up on the near side. It skips all the way through past Swoboda, but since he had to play but was occupied with Sinisalo, they let it go as we're in the final 3 minutes of regulation. All right, it's fasten seatbelt times, my friend. Up ice, the Canadians tip through in the neutral zone, and it's played to Dahlin. Dahlin looking on the near side. Flying is Swoboda. Shoots. Hextall seemed to be a little back on his haunches and off stride with that one, but covered it. As it appeared, he was prepared for a tougher shot, and then Swoboda had the little hutch, blocked, and then slid one in. So the Canadians keep getting offensive circle draws. He got in, and there was a poke check, and then he followed up, and Hextall was able to cover it. With 2:42 remaining, and they're silent here in Montreal, as you might expect any home team would be, with their club trailing and facing elimination, and in the final 162 seconds of play. Nosland, Smith, Lemieux, along with Chelios and Green. Flyers have Prop on with Sutter, Tocchet, McCrimmon. Now they've changed and have Crossman out with Marsh. Flyers are going with the big four. Samuelson has not seen any ice in this period. Canadian fans, 17,616, trying to get emotions going, but Their fears overcome their willingness to cheer. Now they wait for the face-off. Smith against Ron Sutter. Smith trying to draw it back to Green at the left point. Sutter draws it back behind the net. They tie up his man. But there is Lemieux digging it out. Looks to center. There it is, and it kicks away. There's a block shot. Flyers 2-on-1. Prop again with Tocchet with his Chelios back. Drop in. Drive. Save. Tocchet couldn't get the rebound, and the Canadians steered it to center. And then it's driven back in off a glove as we're down to 2:20 remaining in regulation. That was the duo that got the one goal in this period. Here comes Nozzle in the middle, picked up by Eklund, who takes the puck away from him at center ice. Canadians shoot in. Clear. Hextall blocks it behind the net. Looks to play. The Flyers are sluggish. It comes to the near side. They had it easily to the near boards. Try to lift it out and don't. That could be a disastrous play. Lemieux behind the net to Bobby Smith. He loses control. Marsh wants to unload it high over the defenseman Chelios. It rolls. It'll not be an icing. We're in the final minute and 50 of regulation. 4-3 Philadelphia. Canadians behind the net. The crowd holding its breath, and with every rush, the puck comes up on the far wing. Tapped through to McPhee. His pass. Puck behind the Philadelphia net. Howe is there. Check. Kicks it loose to Brown, and Brown up on the near side to the point and into center ice. A minute and a half remaining in regulation. Flyers are 90 seconds away from the finals. Corson penetrates against Howe. Rolls it to Noslin. Centering pass. Pounded out to the point and through. Pass Swoboda by Poulin. 1:20 remaining in regulation. Pass through, and it's tapped by the Canadians into the zone. Hayward looking to come out and does not, as Hextall wheels it around to the far side, and Poulin drills it out to center ice. 1:05 remaining in regulation. Back in his zone is Swoboda. Swoboda off to Momesso. The Flyers need a minute of brilliance right now. There's a play at center into the zone. Hayward heading for the bench. The Canadians behind the net. Crossman wheels it up on the side. Kept in by Robinson. He dumps it behind the net. Around to the near side to Crossman. He clears it down the ice. There is Prop going for the open net. He looks, shot, and he missed it, and the Canadians are alive with 40 seconds remaining in regulation. Winning pass Prop. Up ice. At the line, an offensive corner dump. Hextall out. Clears it himself to center. Canadians can't jump it. Tocchet takes it away. Rolls it down the ice with 23, 22, 21 seconds. Icing called Philadelphia, and a technical mistake by the Flyers. Tocchet needed only another step to cross the red line and get in. Onside, and now with 20 seconds left, the Canadians get the face-off of the season. We thank our site producer, Mike Finicchiero, our director here, Jacques Primo, our second unit director, J.R. Aguilar, our ADs, Aldo Fornesi and Mike Dixon, coordinating producers, Jamie McVicker and Ray Lombardi, producer Mike Rubin, our executive producer, Carol Healy, and the rest of the fine crew at WGBS Philly 57. Well, here it is. A couple of seasons. Montreal and Philadelphia. In microcosm, 20 seconds remaining. The Canadians have all they could hope for is an offensive face-off. 6 players out there. They'll have size. If they can control the draw, Bobby, they're going to try to jam the net.
Oh, obviously, Gene, and of course, this is where those face-offs, the control of the face-offs is going to help them. But we have to point out, though, over the last 5 minutes of this period, the Flyers have fared down quite well in that area. But you have an open net, you don't take your time. You got to bear down and make sure of that puck. You got to get it on that net. Larry Robinson right there, Gene. You can see the fatigue in that veteran's face. And the thing is he, along with Chelios, and I've talked about it throughout this game, have lugged so much ice time. And they're the guys that you're going to really wonder how they're going to try and get through that Flyers wall, or even try to get that puck, because they're the guy that they're going to try to draw the puck back to. They're going to try and get it back to Robinson.
Walter did that at 19:52 of the first period, got it to Robinson, who shot one off Hextall's shoulder to score with 4 seconds left. It gave the Canadians a 2-1 lead. They upped that at the 7-minute mark of the second on a power play goal by Bobby Smith to 3, and then Sinisalo and Mellon be less than 2-minute parts to tie. And in the third, Tocchet from Prop at 7-11, and that's where we stand. Smith, Lemieux, Walter, Noslin, Cherios, and Robinson, and you can see who Flyers won out there. Crossman and Poulin, Sutter, Prop, and Howe. They have 2 face-off men. Canadians have everybody up between the circles. Robinson is the only man back, and Walter will try to get the puck back to him. Sutter will try to get it into his own corner, and the Flyers then try to wheel it out. 20 seconds remaining. Puck at a foot. Crossman around behind the net. Wrap around to the near side. It doesn't get out. Noslin to the net, broken up. Flyers have it along the left wing. They chip it through. Poulin's got an open net to hit. Misses. 8 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. The Flyers are going to go to the finals. It's over. And just watch and enjoy. And the agony of defeat as the defending Cup champions have been eliminated. And the Flyers did it in the best way I know how. They win 3 games in Montreal. And I tell you, the fans booed because of the ruckus at the beginning of the game. But they are hockey fans, and they begin to applaud. And they applaud a marvelous series. And my, you come back here down 3-1. Take it away and shut them down in the last period. Marvelous action, and the Flyers are just beside themselves as they know it will be the Flyers in Edmonton begin.